minimum wage on Tuesday, January 30, at the Council Chamber, Presidential Villa State House, Abuja. The spokesperson for the Office of the Secretary to the government of the Federation, Segun Imohiosen, disclosed this in a statement. The existing minimum wage set at 30,000 naira per month was approved in 2019 following the passage of the minimum wage bill by the National Assembly. The labor unions demanded an increase on the 30,000 naira minimum wage, citing rising inflation and the naira's depreciation. President Bola Tinubu, after his swearing into office, promised that his administration will provide a living wage for Nigerian workers because the existing national minimum wage was not enough, in quotes. The committee is to be inaugurated on Tuesday, January 30, which is today, boasts a diverse list of members, including representatives from the federal and state governments, the private sector, and organized labor. The former head of civil service of the Federation, Buka Aji, will chair the group tasked with navigating the complex and often contentious issues of the minimum wage. Members are urged to arrive early to process their clearance at the security gate and to be seated in the council chamber by 11:30 a.m. In addition, a shuttle bus will be available at the pilot gate to transport attendees to the venue. Also, members of the committee should contact the head of Secretariat, Chiadi Adiogu, Director Compensation in the National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission for information. Well, I'm waiting to see what happens here.
37 members. That's fine.
So, why do we need 37 members to just discuss what the minimum wage will be?
37 members. Talking about minimum wage and...
First, you're already going to be paying these people money. There's money allocated for these things. Mm-hmm. All the people that are going to become, aside the 37 members, even people that might come there would get something or another. Then now, how much? I'm not sure it's going to be less than, I don't know, whatever amount. But those monies that you are,
5 million.
I was about to even say 1 million. I was trying to be.
5 million times 37.
And those monies can actually be used for a better cause. We're talking about minimum wage. Why not add it to the budget of the amount you want to pay people?
Some governors will be giving 500 naira to pregnant women. Yeah, we've seen that in the last administration. But if things are working, if the system is working, we don't need committees upon committees. They keep setting up committees and all that. So whatever happens to the Ministry of Labor and Productivity, for instance, having a dialogue with the labor. Labor has a plan, the labor has demands, and they have all this worked out, and they have formed their own committee to argue for this minimum wage and all that. What is the Ministry of Labor doing, Labor and Productivity? What's the relevant ministries doing? These 37 people, where are they coming from? Are they paying them as people that are part of the committee, or they are doing that as part of their job? Because if it's from the ministry that is involved, then you don't need to pay them extra. Even if you're giving them something, it wouldn't be as much as some people who are coming from outside to do this. But bottom line is we like committees too much.
I think in their defense, because of the fair that I saw of people that are coming, maybe in their defense they want it to be as holistic as possible, in the sense that they want people from different walks of life, different sectors. So it's not just people from the government, or it's not just people from the organized private sector. So they want everybody, just for inclusion. Why are you looking at me like that? I'm just saying, I'm trying to so maybe that's what it is, but still, there are times, for instance, if you have to do jury service, I think that's what it's called. You have to do that for free. For instance, in America, it's part of your
civic duties.
Exactly. So except that's what this is here. That's what's happening
in
here.
Nigeria. Don't even think it. Hold on. Don't even think it. Don't think it. Land where? Where are you landing? There's no place. There's no helipad. There's no airport for you to land.
Wait, hold on. I'm saying maybe that's the case for these 37 members.
It is not. It is not. So don't even use a maybe. It's not. It's not. They will be paid. They will be given money to do this. They're not volunteering. They're not volunteering. They are going to be paid. Even if they're not calling it pay, they will tell you that,
give them
okay, they are
something.
coming to Abuja to stay somewhere, and then
Do you understand logistics,
everything. So
welfare?
so don't even think about it. They will be paid. But the thing is, even if they are paid, what kind of amount they are going to be paid, I hope the committee will have recommendations that will be followed. And when they follow these recommendations, then we won't find the problems we're finding. But I think a basic and fundamental question that should have been asked is, why do people even need this minimum wage to go up? Because as I always say, if everything is working, a lot of people will not be complaining about what they're earning.
If everything that I'm paying for can go under what I'm earning, then that's fine. Even if the minimum wage is 20,000 naira,
Because
as long as I can afford every other thing.
whatever they were paying you in January last year, for instance, if they're still paying you that, or even double of it, the transportation, whether you have a car or not, the transportation will take like half of that money. You've not talked about if you have responsibilities.
Yeah.
Everybody has responsibilities. Even the very irresponsible people have a lot of girlfriends.
You have to eat.
They have a lot of boyfriends. They have a lot of people that help them to do the irresponsible things. So you still need to spend. So you find out what you were earning in January, even last year.
It's not even
It's
enough.
not double of that. It's not even enough now.
Yeah, I know
to
the
use.
NLC is proposing about 200,000 naira, which I'm not sure the government will, go there. But even 200,000 naira is 200,000 naira enough
The thing is, if
to
you
live
propose,
in Nigeria
even
right
if you
now.
propose 500,000 naira, the landlords are listening. The people selling at the street corners are listening. Once it is done, they up their price. The inflation goes up. Whatever
what do you hear
law works everywhere, that remove money from society, there's no inflation, or when there is a lot of things, whatever law they've been using to fight inflation does not work in Nigeria. It doesn't seem to work. I may not be an economist, but everything they say, if you do this, inflation will stop. It doesn't stop. So you pump in more money by paying people more, a section of the people anyway, because it's not everybody that is working.
Yeah.
You pay them, and the landlords are listening. So, like I
And
said,
they will tell you they buy the
even if the
cement,
house was
rods,
built in 1958,
they will still increase it.
they will still increase it. All they need to do is the landlords come together and fabricate a gate, put in the street, it becomes an estate. And then
Right.
the landlord, the price goes up, because they have tried to do security themselves, they have tried to get light themselves, they have tried to do a lot of things themselves
That the government is
should-
supposed to, yeah.
Good. So things will always happen like this. So why not just do the needful? And then gradually, it is in the law that a civil servant gets pay upgrade after a certain number of years.
Yeah.
You get your promotion after a certain number of years. Why not just follow that and make sure the things that are making people want more money are provided? As simple as that.
Well, let's see what happens with their 37-member for the committee of the minimum wage. Anyways, we'll go on a quick break.
Congratulations. Political appointment.
We're not saying, but we're saying. We'll go on a short break, and when we return, we'll be looking at what the national dailies are saying this morning. But first, let's check out the weather. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. You're still on to The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. And right now, we're going to be looking at the paper review. Joining us to review these papers is Chris Kehinde Nwandu. He's a member of the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators in the UK, but is joining us here in Lagos State. He was in Cote d'Ivoire, yes, for the AFCON that is currently happening. And if you did not know, Nigeria won their last game. And so we are now in the quarterfinals. But yes, Mr. Kehinde has come back without the trophy, but he might go back when we get to the finals. But yes,
how did you feel, Mr. Kehinde, Mr. Nwandu, when you heard that a prophet had prophesied that Nigeria was going to be eliminated from the rounds of 16 with a whopping 3 goals?
3-0.
You know, there are prophets and there are prophets, and there are so many fake ones. That man was just trying to catch, I don't know, he was just trying to catch crews, as we say in Nigeria.
Gain attention?
Yes, and seek unnecessary attention. And but we knew that it was just, don't forget, in the past, going to 2 years now, going to 3 years, Cameroon has never defeated Nigeria. Yeah, they used to be our greatest rival, just like Ghana. But we know that the current Eagles that we have are world beaters, although they are slow starters, as it were. But just like wine, they were improving with every match, and we look forward to that. We need to see the stadium that day. But we took our eyes off the so-called fake prophet, and you can see what he has said after that. After the defeat, he came out to give another analysis on why they felt that the Cameroonian players is not listening to what he said, this and that. But we know them; they are everywhere, and we are moving on. We are moving on. Our focus is now on Angola. That we are going to meet, and we know that we surely beat Angola.
Anytime the name Angola is mentioned, I remember one of my favorite players, Samuel Okparaji. May his soul rest in peace.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyways, but are you confident that we might get to the finals and bring home that trophy?
Anything can happen in football. Most people already wrote off a country like Cote d'Ivoire. They qualify as one of the
best losers.
Best losers, as it were. But yesterday, they eliminated the defending champion.
Yeah.
Before that match, Senegal was the only team that won all their 3 matches at AFCON. But football is that matches. The match is smoking. And they won it with the penalty shootout. So anything can happen. But I believe that this current crop of Super Eagles, I visited their camp and I saw them, I saw their training. Have so much confidence, and then you can bet. What we shouldn't do is underrating any team.
Yeah.
Don't underrate any, no matter how small they are. Look at Cape Verde. Whoever believed that Cape Verde would qualify for quarterfinals, when countries like Algeria, Ghana, and Egypt have been eliminated. So anything can happen. But we're very optimistic that these Eagles can go all the way to the finals.
All right, okay. Enough of sports and football. Let's go to the papers. We're going to start with The Guardian this morning. And there's quite one here that sounds funny. It says Nigeria, Ghana. I'm not starting with a major headline here. Since we're talking about African countries. So it says Nigeria, Ghana lead West Africa's identity fraud cases. What do you think about that?
Well, Sincerely, the issue of identity has always been a challenge of the problem. That you know that Ghana and Nigeria practically have the same culture. They are English-speaking countries. They are also colonized by the British. They are members of the Commonwealth. Apart from Gambia, I don't know which other West African country speaks English like Nigeria. But so the issue of this identity issue has always been an issue over the years. But let me even bring it home. You know, the problem we've always had is that we've always said that there should be a convergence of all this, our identity procedures as a situation where a Nigerian will carry passport, carry another, go for road safety, go and do another metrics. You want to do your BVN, you do another, that's opening a bank account, your ATM, and too many things. We have always said that there should be the need for us to have a convergence of, so that we can have that. If you look at this, most of these advanced countries, you see an average American, or just his passport, there is what is called a national identity, which is the card, which they normally carry. Yeah. Anywhere, I'm sure you must have seen that before.
Yes.
It's just like our number. That national identity card is what takes you anywhere you go. In fact, when you hide that you have a green card as an American, is that identity. You don't even have a green card. It doesn't necessarily must have an American passport.
Yeah.
That identity is just an identity card that you carry around, and that can be. And I believe that is the same thing that we should be able to do in Nigeria. And the most important, annoying part of it is that remember that recently, as far back as about a year ago, Nigerians were asked to get a name number. And with that name, that so many things will be traced and be able to reduce the level of insecurity across. That has not worked. You can see on a daily basis, people are being kidnapped. I'm sure we're going to get the shop kidnapping and killing. People are being kidnapped, and our security agencies can still not be able to trace these numbers. And you ask yourself, what is the essence of that main problem that we went through in the past? That even a bank account, people were lining up at name offices for hours.
Even if you have to renew your passport as well, for almost everything.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. If you have to renew your passport, you have to go through the process all over again, as if you are getting a new passport. Mm-hmm. And that to me is a problem, because I already have my biometrics, you already have my fingerprints. Why do I need to come to your office again to do a biometrics of my finger and the rest of them, and go through that process and stay another 2-3 months just before I can get a passport? There's a lot of problem here and there, which I think that I would be able to. These are challenges that, if you go to some countries now, I just came back from video back. As you're just leaving the airport, all you need is collect your passport from you, put it on and scan it, and ask you to look straight into a camera. Yeah. Once that camera recognizes you, you are off. Mm. You are off. The first time I saw that was in Dubai. You just look at the camera will look at the say, remove your glass, just look into the camera automatically captures.
So captures more like a face ID thing.
That is all. Face ID, that is Cote d'Ivoire. Cote d'Ivoire here, a small country. But in Nigeria, then you go through custom, we do this, immigration, we do that, and the rest of them. It doesn't help us at all.
Sometimes I wonder why we're gathering all of this data and we're not even using them for.
The former minister is even doing crowdfunding for kidnappers. You know, you remember.
Even another story
was sourcing
here.
for money to pay ransom.
Yeah, talking about kidnappers, another story here says 2,423 people killed, 1,872 people kidnapped in 8 months under President Tinubu.
The figure is far more than that. You should know that.
I believe that was what has been reported.
In journalism, that's what we call reported cases. For that reported cases, I'm telling you that it's far before every one case that is reported. I can tell you that over 30 or 50 were not reported. So we're having more than that. There are so many people in the bushes that were not being reported. There are so many that their parents and Their families are just contacting the kidnappers. But you know, when they kidnap you, the first thing they tell you is that do not report to police,
Yes.
or else we kill your brother, we kill your sister, we kill your father. So people get afraid, they don't report to them. So these ones are the ones that are documented. But the ones that are not documented are so many that you'll be so shocked by the number of kidnappings. And we thought that this was a thing of the past. The government came out with so much promises. That the level of insecurity is overwhelming this government's atmosphere, and something needs to be done immediately. Just a few days ago, a prominent politician, the chairman of PDP in Lagos State, was kidnapped along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, although he has been released. But some of his colleagues died in that process. You go to Abuja, you saw the 6 ladies that were kidnapped from one family. One was killed. Then there have been all sorts of kidnapping. Kidnapping was something that we never heard of in Lagos, apart from the days of ferocious kidnapper.
Evans.
Evans. But after he was captured, he related. But now in Lagos, it is very, very unsafe to move around certain areas in Lagos. We've had a Bagada Expressway. And especially Okota area, because you know Lagos very well. Those Okota area, a lot of kidnapping is going on, and a lot of ransom is being taken. They're not asking for 500,000, they're not asking for 1 million. They're asking for 20 million, 30 million. How can an average Nigerian that is finding it difficult to feed himself be able to afford? So our security agencies need to strategize and make sure that they put their boots on the ground and leave this in. But it's getting so serious, and nobody feels safe anywhere. In those days, months and years back, we look at some states as safe havens for Nigerians, where you can comfortably stay and bet. No place is safe again. No place is safe. And I hope that the president, who is currently in France, is on top of this game. He has spoken to his security chief. They said they're going to do something about it, but it seems that it's getting worse by the day.
It's interesting to even note that most of the papers today, the major headlines are about security. The Punch says kidnapping epidemic, over 17,000 Nigerians abducted under Buhari and Tinubu. And then there's a writer that says Buhari 90%, Tinubu 10%. Obviously, President Tinubu just came into office a few months ago. And then he also talks about how abductors killed 2 Ekiti monarchs. Also, when you look at The Nation, it says security men raise bar in battle against kidnappers. It's sad that this is the story of the day, and this is what we keep talking about almost every time we're here. There's always a security story and talking about kidnapping. But I hope that something is being done to curb this, and so that we're safe in our own land. We're safe in Nigeria, because one thing you don't want is not to feel safe in your own home. And that's the reason why lots of people are doing this whole jackpot thing. Everybody's leaving because they tell you, oh, Nigeria is a hot spot and I can't live there. But we're hoping something is being done. Yeah.
Yeah, let me just rounding up.
Okay.
I just came back inside as you know, and I just came back from Cote d'Ivoire. You'll be shocked by the level of security in Cote d'Ivoire. I was shocked that I was walking on the street of Cote d'Ivoire at 12:01 a.m. and most of the houses, gates were open. At 12:01 a.m. when we were walking around, coming back from studio, because at the point after the match, we decided to just trek, and it was a long distance. We say, oh, this way we have some level of this. No, they say, no, don't worry, just walk, no problem. So many of the houses where their gates, you see, car parked, the gates were open at 12 midnight. No single harassment, nothing. And they say it's not. I say, oh, could it be because of the? But they say no. That has always been like that. Don't have those kind of issues. Okay. And my mind just rushed back to Nigeria. Leave your gates open at 7 p.m.
Or leave your car. Just that you would not. You would not find.
When you park, they now jump into your compound and now steal the bread box. It's terrible.
I mean, we're laughing about this, but it's sad.
It's like one time when someone was watching television with the family with a generator, and the next thing he heard,
I've heard that story before.
The thieves came with the car, put the generator while it was still working, and then just moved. That's when the light was disconnected. They came out.
No, they put them on top of Okada. The next thing just boom,
Okay, well, most times we like to concentrate on what is happening in Nigeria on the papers, but there's also a security issue and a diplomatic issue here that would like you to address. Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger exit may weaken $277 billion ECOWAS trade. That's according to a report. We've seen that these countries are exiting from ECOWAS, and it's reducing the number of the ECOWAS countries, and now they're talking about how much of this effect it will have on the trade of ECOWAS. What do you think?
Yes, my personal opinion, I think the ECOWAS government leaders dropped the ball. They could have engaged these three countries better and more robust and more strategic in order to bring them within the fold. Yes, they went out of their way to have for the coups to happen in those three countries, and which is against the ECOWAS protocol. But even at that, when you have a child, you have 12, 15 children, and you see three of them misbehaving, you don't just throw them out of the house. Don't come back to my house. Don't come back to this house. What you try to do is try to win them back, win their love, try to pet them as it were, and be able to get the best out of them. But the ECOWAS government, we are not strategic enough, and they throw away the child with the bad water, and that is what is happening now. The implications are very there, especially for a country like Nigeria, surrounded by these three countries. Niger, for instance, when you get to the Niger border, you don't know the difference between Nigeria and Niger. It's just you're just walking, and a lot of insecurity, insurgents coming through that Niger Republic access and go out, and that is a big problem for us. So we need to be very, very careful with what we handle this. Yeah. The second one is also that ECOWAS have also thrown this back open by these countries have been embraced by Russia, and you can see that Russian mercenaries are now embedded in these countries, and it's a big threat to Nigeria. So if we allow Russia to be able to take a stronghold within these three countries, it's going to be a problem as well. Third one for me is that, by the ECOWAS protocol, there is free movement of goods and services. I traveled to Cote d'Ivoire. I don't need a visa to go to Cote d'Ivoire or Ghana or any West African country. But with this now, if you are going to go to Mali and any of these three countries, from what is going to happen, if they say they run themselves, then you need a passport, and probably they are citizens. So it's a very, very big problem, which I think that the ECOWAS head of state, being led by our president, should be able to handle this more maturely, more diplomatically, and be able to. But the other side to it is that there have been instances in the past where one of the countries also hesitated after some years they came back. And I think Mauritania was one good example. At one point, they wanted to, they hesitated the ECOWAS, but after about 4 or 5 years, came back. But there's also been a country, one of the North African countries, I don't know which one, that have been trying to say they want to be members of ECOWAS, but ECOWAS have refused because they think that if they do that, then there'll be influx of goods and services through that route, through Europe into West Africa, and it's going to be a big problem. But I think that this issue can be properly diplomatically handled. We can engage them. We can engage the countries. We know that there are some circumstances. Every country has its peculiar. Well, in as much as we are blaming the coup leaders, but also find out that the politicians that were there before they took over, were they doing what they ought to do? Politics is democracy is government of the people, by the people, and for the people. But you see most of our African countries, the way our leaders behave, they get to office, the next thing they want to do is to change the constitution so that they can run forever. The president wants to be a lifetime president. He doesn't want to engage, he doesn't want to restrict himself to 2 terms or 1 term or whatever term that is. That is why I commend somebody like George Oppong, the president of Liberia, who has just lost his seat to a rival. You could see the way and manner with which he went about that. When he lost, he graciously embraced the new president, gave him all the necessary cooperation, and left the stage. That is what it's supposed to be. But in Africa, it's never this. Some will rule for 30, 50 years, and they even want to hand over to their children. Is that democracy?
Okay.
Well, sorry, I was just going to add to what you said. If we look at the Daily Trust, ECOWAS crisis, Nigeria at the receiving end, and the riders are citizens will require visas to travel across exiting countries. Just like you said, terrorists might up their game. So they're saying people might start to stir up troubles, and then we will be poorer, says Don. So we're hoping that, the negotiations come good for them not to actually exit ECOWAS. But yeah, you were going to say something.
Yeah, well, I was just going to another story, still on the Punch, not Daily Trust. Lawmakers accuse Fubara of unlawful conduct. Governor wants pro-Wike appointees. The drama in River State is not ending. I don't know what we've entered right now.
Episode 523.
So what's your take? What is happening in River State?
This is at once in 7. So we are moving on. But I said something the last time. I think it was on this particular program that I said it, that in as much as a lot of people might just think that, yes, I know that the guy is not living up to expectations. You might be shocked that this guy was playing some kind of game, that he wanted to get his mandate from the Supreme Court. Don't forget that the federal government at its fair, and the ruling party, if they decide to swing it, there's a possibility that they can swing it. It has happened several times again. I remember what happened in my state of Benin. Somebody that came in an election was virtually declared the governor of the state. And so anything can happen. So I think he just took his time to make sure that his election was solidified by the Supreme Court, which has got it now. But if you listen to him yesterday, he said that he want the so-called commissioners that were reabsorbed not to give him problem and not to give his government problem. What is he saying? He's saying that for whatever reason, if there's anything that happens, there's a possibility that he might just bite. And, he has been backing with that bite. So that is one. Secondly, he also realized that he's solidifying his stay. Just yesterday, he has honorably picked or sworn in or whatever, appointed the ex-National Speaker as his chief of staff. The former chief of staff that was appointed by Wike has been removed. So that National Speaker that had the four lawmakers with him have now been appointed the substantial chief of staff. And the role of chief of staff. Most people know that chief of staff is more of the deputy governor of the state. So he might be trying to consolidate, but the war is not over. And but I know that it's going to be a very, very tough battle between him and members of the legislative, and majority of which are loyalists of Wike. Let's see how this pans out and see how this works. But he has to assert himself as a governor. He's no longer a puppet. He is the governor of River State. Wike is no longer governor. Wike is the minister of the FCT, and he should restrict himself to the FCT. There are a lot of things happening in the FCT that should be of concern to the minister. Kidnapping and killing in FCT has never been this bad since 1999. I think that one should be of main concern to him, although he has started blaming politicians and others that want to prepare Bola Tinubu's government. But that should be of much concern to him. If anything happens to Abuja, then he'll be held responsible. And when you're talking of insecurity, you come to also know that Abuja is the seat of power. Most of all the embassies are in Abuja. So the safety of life and properties of Nigerians and non-Nigerians living in the FCT is within the purview of the FCT minister as well as the federal government. And if we're not able to arrest them, they give us very, very terrible signals to the international community who we are trying to come and invest in Nigeria. How can any country come or individual from outside come and invest in the country that we have a high level of insecurity? Naira, as of this morning we had, is now 1,500 to $1. And power is collapsing on a daily basis. There are a lot of problems facing this government, and I hope that it's no longer time for talk. It is now time to walk the talk. It's close to 8 months now. This government must hit the ground running because Nigerians are already running out of patience with them.
Yeah. All right. So there's another one here on the Punch. It says federal government, U.S. sign MOU to train police special squad commanders. So we've heard that the police have said the tracking device shortage is hindering them from probing into cases, especially with this whole kidnapping epidemic that's going on in the country. But is this really a good thing? I'm sure it's a good thing, but what is the impact that this would have with the federal government and the U.S. signing an MOU to train the police special squad commanders?
It's a good sign, it's a good thing. We need all the necessary assistance we can get, both locally and foreign. But locally, we have to win the confidence of the Nigerians, because I say time and time again that the problem we have, part of the problem is trust, what I call the trust deficit between the citizens and the security agencies. Nigerians are not willing to volunteer information to the security agencies, believing the fact that when it's done, then it will be traced back with them, then used to hurt them. You've seen in the past few months all sorts of videos going on social media involving the Nigerian police, how they have been harassing Nigerians, trying to extort Nigerians. The latest one, you saw the one that happened in Lagos just a few days ago, where an officer, an ASP, was insisting that somebody must transfer more than 1,000 or whatever to his account and the rest of them. And so the police, first and foremost, have to make sure it is force of ridicule elements and undesirable elements who seems to have found themselves into the Nigerian police. Then we take it from. I also realized that from some of the security agents, and the security agents are also getting involved.
Hello, sir.
The security agents, okay, you can see me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, some of the security agencies also go as far, even renting out their rifles to criminals. There have been instances where policemen are involved in this. So, but back to the question you asked, it is a good thing. Whatever assistance we can get from foreign countries in terms of training, equipment, mapping out equipment, tracking equipment, that can assist us in making sure that we're able to track these criminals will be of very big importance to Nigeria. And these are people that have done it and done it all over. But it's not just having the necessary equipment, having the boots on there. But we must also invest so much on intelligence. Most security now are neat in the board. We should be more proactive, not reactive. It's not when they kidnap people, we now start running around and start looking for this. How do we prevent these things from happening? That is what most other countries do. They try to prevent this. There's no country in the world that is free of crime. Let us get that right. There is no country, even the United States. But the fact remains that even if it happens, how often or how quick do you apprehend those that were involved? And how quick do you also make sure that they are prosecuted? So a lot of things, while the police are doing their job, we also look at the judiciary. Because if the judiciary, you pick them up and you can't take them to court and they cannot be prosecuted and sentenced, and because the problem, a lot of them, because they put in, because they know that nothing will happen to them. That is not the way to go. But I love the cooperation between the United States, and I hope that other international countries also help us out in the present problem we are having across Nigeria when it comes to issue of insecurity.
All right. Even though personally I don't like the picture of the person who is supposed to be the trainer of our squad commanders, there's something a picture says. And anyway, it may just be the person we need, but I just don't like the look. Okay, it should be a fit person that's going to train our squad commanders.
You know, there's always that thing where they say our police officers, you expect them to be fit, but then you're seeing people with like bare bellies. You're seeing people that look like they don't.
Will this one be the one training down?
They never went into their camps where they do their whole rigorous training. Because I remember when I went for my youth service, you have to do all of this drilling and stuff, and that kind of like makes you fit. So when you look at the average policeman, you're like, did you go through any training? But yes, I understand what you mean.
Anyway, so still on the point, but moving to the what do they call it? Daily Trust. We start with Naira falls to all-time low at official market, sells at 1,348 Naira per dollar. And in Daily Trust, we have that Naira plunges to 1,500 Naira at the parallel market. So it's getting worse and worse and
Worse.
worse and worse and badder and badder.
Worse. The pressure is getting worse. Sorry, just to add, on The Nation, it also says that CBN injects $500 million into forex markets. So,
So just talk to us. Naira.
Yes, the Naira is taking its greatest and highest fall since 1960 that we got independence. This is the highest I've never seen in the history of Nigeria. Where the Naira is going for about 1,500 to $1. And it breaks my heart. Still going back, because I got 660 CFA to $1. That is what has changed. That's their currency, 660. Now, when you look at Naira, that we're having a 1,500 to $1, you can do the math almost 3 times. As the Nigerian currency used to be far higher and than safer in the past. Then you say, what is happening? Yes, CBN is injecting 500 million. But you also understand that we were told some few weeks back that the NNPC got about $3 billion from certain source to be able to cushion the effect of this Naira policy. Ask yourself, what happened to that money? How come that will not have effect? Just last week, the presidential candidate were not having the effect. So a lot of problem going on. But what I know is that a lot of speculation is going on, speculation is going on within the economy. Two, some so-called rich people are buying up this dollar, and I'll tell you that for free. They are buying it, keeping it, and weighing it. They are especially using Naira to buy a lot of dollars, going to millions and keeping it. Somebody, an economic expert said that. But more importantly, the fact remains that it's a consuming nation, and once we will continue to do that, they are not going to have it. Until we continue to start producing, exporting products and services and any more dollars, it's going to be a problem. The refinery, we import practically close to 90% of our refined products from abroad, and we pay for it in dollars, which is why some of us are saying that it's good that the refineries start working, let the Dangote refineries also start working, so that we depend less on importation and retain most of this money in Nigeria. Whether that's going to change the price of petroleum is yet to be seen for me. But we'll have to also look at other critical areas like agriculture, mining, and other critical areas where we can also export products and earn dollars. But as it is not looking like that. If we don't take our time, in the next 2-3 months, we're going to be hitting $2,000 Naira to $1. What that means is that if you had about 10 million Naira in your account as of January last year, that 10 million the value must have come to maybe 5, 6, or even 4 million now. That is terrible. That is not the way to go.
2,000 Naira to the dollar, that is quite scary.
But it's very close.
I don't want to even think about it.
1,005.
When I was talking that Naira will get to 1,000 to $1.
Yes.
We never believed it.
And in a few months,
nobody ever believed that you get to that. It is 1,005 as of today. It's how many? Just from May 29th, when this government took over, and now it was hovering around 700 when Buhari left, I believe. That is 1,500. It's
double the price.
It's terrible.
Okay, so I mean, you've talked about our crude oil, the fact that we are even importing crude. You also talked about agriculture. What other ways can we export things in order to drop down the price of the dollar to the Naira? Because I know one other way I was even thinking about yesterday was, why are we not really doing anything about tourism? Because tourism is a good export for countries like Dubai, places like Maldives, and all of that. But I know that our security challenges is one of the major factor why we're not having tourists, come into Nigeria. So what are the ways we can start to export tourism? Security, like I mentioned, the maintenance of all of these facilities. The other day, I saw a video about the Lekki Conservation Center, of which the Lagos State government said they had fixed what's it called? The long bridge? I've forgotten. The walkway. Something walk.
Canopy walkway.
The canopy walk, right. So they fixed it now, but all of these things, the maintenance, the security challenges, how do we start to put all of that in place to ensure that we can start to have tourism as one of our biggest exports?
You have answered it. You asked the question, you have practically answered it.
I know, but I want to get your thoughts on it as well.
Yes. Let me tell you for free. One of the best tourist centers in Nigeria is called the Yankari Game Reserve. It's in Bauchi. I've been there once. You need to see the game reserve. But now, nobody goes there. You can't even try to go there because banks kidnappers will be kidnapped. You can't find your way there. And that's insecurity. Jos used to be one of the best. Most Europeans country to Nigeria. When I was growing up, we heard of Jos. And when I went to Jos, I was shocked. Jos used to have one of the best weather in this country. That it is almost the same weather with Europe. Most foreigners come to Nigeria to stay, to go job. In the past few weeks, we've seen the number of killings in Jos and Plateau State. That is a tourism center. There used to be you saw what Donald Duke did with across the state. What's that? What is it again?
Tinapa and Obudu Ranch Resort.
I think Napa or something like that.
Tinapa.
Yes, Tinapa. That was supposed to be a world-class tourism center, and Cross State started competing with most West African countries and even African countries when it came to tourism.
Even with the
when
carnival.
Imoke came in, he abandoned it and started facing something else. So that is Cross used to be a very lovely place. Let me still believe that let me still say it is a lovely place. You go to Bar Beach. We are surrounded by the coastline. If you go to the beach side in Lagos, it's just like what Lagos is just like Côte d'Ivoire. Côte d'Ivoire is surrounded by water. In fact, during my trip, we had a boat ride for about 45 minutes on the high sea in Côte d'Ivoire. If as we are landing into Côte d'Ivoire, it is just the water surrounding the airport surrounding the airport. Very beautiful place. People go there and relax. People come from outside. So those are the kind of things. One of the greatest revenue that Kenya gets from tourism. I'm sure you have heard about the tourism in Kenya.
Yeah.
A lot of people go for safari, what they call safari in Kenya. So we can build on all this. So it's not just about just exporting oil. There are very, very other areas we can look at. If you go to Ife, wonderful tourism area. Go to Osun, go to Oyo State, go to Kano. So many areas that nobody will come to a country knowing fully well that traveling from Abuja to Kaduna that you can be killed and you see that advisory information news being given by the various embassies on a daily basis. Do not come to Nigeria, and if you come to Nigeria, 30 out of 36 states you should not visit. Then how are we going to go about tourism? So to be able to handle the issue, that's why we say that everything is hinged on security. If we can be able to handle our security as it were, then every other thing we rise up. Then we also look at area of power. Power. The SMEs have practically died. We are not producing anything. Nobody is producing anything in Nigeria now. Because the cost of diesel, the cost of petroleum is so expensive that even the ordinary barber, the ordinary seamstress, the guy that does vulcanizer, both of them, just ask yourself, how much were we using to pump tire? I want to just ask yourself, how much is it for you to pump a single tire? And it's about 500 now. It used to be 50 naira in those days. It moved to 100 now. In fact, some are insisting that you must pay 1,000 naira to just pump and patch one tire. That is how bad the situation.
Even Nigerians go there.
Just here, Mauritius. You just let me put this. Somebody just went to have a party in Grenada that I've never had for in my life. I hope you had that. Agbabola. You had it. Somebody went to Grenada to spend billions of dollars where he paid people to go and celebrate. We have our own Grenada here now. If we properly put it in place, that money that was spent in Grenada, if it pumped down into the economy, it will go a long way in helping our city. But you can see that the flight, the people are just doing what they are like, but it is still brought down to the government, both at the state, local government, and federal level to be able to make sure that this issue of insecurity is handled. If we don't do that, then they're not getting the people.
Well, I hope that we start to take out our focus from oil, from crude rather, and start to look at other things like agricultural tourism. In fact, I was asking myself, currently the AFCON is happening in Cote d'Ivoire. Can Nigeria host the AFCON anytime soon, or even the World Cup? That is a very big thought question. But anyways, this is where we're going to drop it off here on this segment. We'll be reviewing the papers with Chris Kehinde-Nwandu. Thank you so much, sir, for coming here and giving your valuable contributions as always. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much. I sign off with what you just said about ASCO. If you know the number of people that came into Cote d'Ivoire and the money they brought, dollars. It was dollars, not their local. People were bringing dollars. You see the way people line up at the airport to exchange dollar for the local currency. That is building the economy. That's building the economy. They're making so much money from that.
Nigeria will get there,
hopefully. So who's going to come here for any this thing? Anyway, have a wonderful day, and I'm back.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. All right, we've been speaking to Chris Kehinde-Nwandu. He's a member of the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators in the UK, and he was joining us from here, has been joining us here in Lagos State. We'll go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll be talking about the fact that the police has said that they cannot, really probe into matters because of the lack of tracking devices. But yes, just stay with us. We'll be right back.
I will take you through this amazingness today.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bukky November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Did you know that Akin Lewis graduated with a first-class degree in acting and directing?
People don't know that I read drama. Actually, I have a master's degree, first class, in acting and directing.
Did you know that Akin Lewis has been in the acting profession for 49 years?
When we started acting, drama as it were, there was no money in it. Now, this is my 49th year. There was no money in it.
Did you know that Akin Lewis has been married twice?
What, you remarried?
Oh, yes, I remarried. Yes, you know, I told you I'm stable now. Calm waters, sailing. Yeah, I remarried. And I have a beautiful daughter, Ifeanyi, now.
What's her name?
Oba.
Did you know that Akin Lewis was almost killed during the inter-ethnic massacre preceding the Civil War?
When the pogrom started, you know that thing that led to the Civil War?
Yes.
I was almost killed. Matter of fact, I was killed. I was almost killed. But in the mind of the fellow who did it, he killed me already. Yeah, because what they did was, you know, as it is, I was a lot lighter, and then I have this mark. And then, so I passed easily for an Igbo boy.
Wow.
And that's what they didn't bother to find out. This mark, which I got from a broken bottle.
I was going to say, how did that
I fell into the gutter years before. And so that had healed. My father said you shouldn't stitch it. And so that my eye hair. So, but when they saw it now, they thought I was evil.
Did you know that Akin Lewis is a polyglot, speaking 7 languages fluently?
You speak so many languages. Which and which?
Well, I speak Hausa. I speak French. Of course, English. Bulgarian. Yoruba, that's my mother tongue. And Creole. Which is, and Pidgin. It's a different form of Pidgin.
Okay, Creole, that's...
Yeah, from Sierra Leone.
What is it?
Nobody go ask if you don't chop. Nobody go send you free money. If you not get now, you sabi. Adulthood na scam.
Adulthood na Scam is a popular song depicting the travails of being an adult and the responsibility that comes with it. There is no time the enormity of the responsibility dawns more than after graduation. After graduation is the time to make use of and put into practice the knowledge gained by students. However, the current higher education system is still struggling to bridge the gap between school and the workplace for students. The needs of the workplace differ, and something as simple as writing a CV is not taught in the classroom. How to apply what you have learned in school in the workplace is usually a knowledge gap that most graduates struggle with after graduation. Studying a particular course and deeply understanding the career paths available, the jobs available, the way companies and organizations operate, how to get hired, getting the relevant experience needed to get hired, knowing how to sell your skills are all parts of the puzzles that needs to be figured out by the young graduate. Abiola Ogunleye is a final year student of the University of Lagos, and he shares that he expected being in the university to be much more immersive.
I was expecting to, be in a department where, aside theory that I would learn in class, I expected to learn theory, history, and all of that, and how to go about things, but I expected university to be like how I saw it in the movies, where you'd have real life projects to undo, you do practicals, you do carry out. So for someone that was going to mass comm, I went into mass comm with the mindset of possibly being on radio or TV and also journalism. So with the mindset of, okay, being part of the press club, producing newspapers, covering stories in school, producing shows and hosting them in school.
Even in terms of as simple as terms, media terms, like we didn't learn media terms like even courts. We don't know what courts means. You understand? We don't know what, there are some terms, I'm just talking about terminologies here, like the most basic thing. So when I'm on set for a movie shoot, or because I did some radio listening, there were some terms that I did not understand. And when you check the terms, like there's some, even workshop, they make use of workshops. So sometimes I'm like, what's that? And then like, people are like, you don't know something as simple as your workshop or the studio or, headshots. Terminologies, just terminologies.
With a constantly evolving workforce and without a corresponding update in the school curriculum, the young people who win are those who go out of their way to learn skills required to be employable in the marketplace.
For example, in my school, we have we have the newspaper, we have the radio and TV, but for most of it, you have to be the one that will take the extra effort to be intentionally involved in them. You can just decide to do your coursework away from all of this and just factor it. Except in a few cases, like with the newspaper, where it's actually a course and you have to take it, but it's not compulsory if you don't want to take it. So, and mostly for folks in the print, in the public relations and other departments, there really isn't much of a way for them to practice in school. For now, it's just the newspaper, the print segment, and the broadcast segment that is in school.
TechCabal reported in 2020 that 58.9% of HND graduates are unemployed, 49.55% of OND graduates are unemployed, and 39.75% of BSc holders are unemployed. With the current Nigerian curriculum, there is an even lesser emphasis on soft skills that have gained prominence lately in the workplace. According to Rohan Rajiv, Director of Product Management at LinkedIn, in a Forbes article said, foundational soft skills have become even more important given the rise of remote and autonomous work and are growing in importance across industries, levels, and work environments. Abiola explains that there is no room for soft skills in the classroom during his university education.
I don't think the curriculum or the course itself prepares you for all of that for soft skills. It's just mostly, what happens is that they mostly focus on the course itself and not the soft skills. Yeah, they try to implement it in terms of maybe when you are doing group projects, you have to collaborate with others. That's teaching you teamwork. You have to do research on your own.
You're like...
Glad to know you're still there. Tracking device shortage hindering police probes into kidnapping epidemic. That is what is being said by security experts. We're being joined now by Dominic Rume Uririe, certified blockchain architect and metaverse expert. Good morning and welcome to the program, Rume.
That feels so weird when you say that.
I'm not feeling weird, just, yeah, Rume. That is not sitting here with me, though. Welcome, Rume.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us.
Okay, blockchain, okay, let me start. Let me just cool down and ask this question. Gadgets are not available, and that's why the tracking is difficult now. I don't know. Is this really a thing? Should this be a thing for the security experts or security agencies? Is this a good enough excuse? Let's start from there.
Well, there are countries that have successfully used technology to enhance their security measures. Like, for instance, border security agencies worldwide have been using technologies like biometric identification and artificial intelligence to truly revolutionize border surveillance. And you see, these technologies have truly been instrumental in preventing unauthorized immigration. Now, some of the things that happen with drug trafficking and terrorism, you see, sometimes we try to attribute it to a particular sector of the country where the border is very porous. Now, we can see that if we have technologies like this to help in identity verification, We can help the police to be able to curb one or two situations that happen, especially one that is from the University of Lagos. And I experienced this kidnapping a certain time. Today is an advocate for mental health because he had to go through that route to be able to recover. So it's something that, yes, we need a couple of these advanced technological infrastructures to be able to aid and collaborate with our security forces to help drive home security as we want it.
Yeah, the reason I asked the question is not really that I do not think that technology is good enough, but the fact that security gets the highest budget year in, year out, and then they're still telling us that the lack of these gadgets is causing X, Y, Z. Now, as someone who knows about these things, do you think it is so difficult to obtain these things that they need to be able to track these criminals and bring them to justice, knowing the kind of budget that goes to security every year?
Well, in terms of defining if it's difficult or not, we might not be in the best position to put that because, I mean, we're not part of the defense department that's getting this thing. But one thing that I understand for sure is that the cost of acquiring these tools can be very daunting, and it depends on the specific requirement of the organization. You can imagine, yesterday I was looking at a situation where maybe you want to acquire, just imagine a country like Dubai now, for example, to be able to acquire those type of surveillance cameras, and let's say, imagine we want to put that now in Port Harcourt, those type of surveillance camera in Port Harcourt, to be able to curb one or two of these incidents, you see that it will be very expensive. Now, manpower to also be able to do that might become an issue. How about data sharing to be able to see that those things work in real time? Well, maybe we need to move to IPFS, Interplanetary Fire System method of sharing. So the cost is actually great especially when you look at the requirements for every security infrastructure that has to be put together. However, that's not to say that we have not deployed quite enough money to be able to get us to a considerable extent at this point in time. So I think we should leave the excuses behind and take the actions to truly get us to where we need to get to.
So what are those actions that you think, can take us to where we need to get to? Because like we said, security takes a huge chunk of the budget. And another thing, the police people talked about using the resources from the DSS. Shouldn't they have their own? Or is there a way they can, collaborate? I'm sure they do that right now, but I mean, with the information, they give information, willingly.
Okay, some of the actions will revolve around education of better and also allowing private institutions to collaborate with government, because some of these private institutions will be able to get in some of these infrastructures, and maybe they can now collaborate with them. Just like as we are seeing that sometimes they tell you that, maybe, let's say, I've had a situation where you want to do like tracking, and then the police will tell you that they cannot do that particular tracking. They want to maybe use DSS tools for that. You see, those kind of things will not be happening if there is actually a plethora of those tools around. Like you have a multitude of different agencies that have access to those type of tools. I mean, they don't need to go to the DSS. They can just contact a private institution. So that means that it will be faster too. And then the documentation process that maybe they might need to scale through will be less. So which means you will get real-time feedback for this case you are trying to tackle. So these things are significant measures that can be taken to enhance that security, especially when you want to use the local laws and regulations too. Well, you can start from those two bedrocks, giving more private institutions a lot of chance, and then much more education in their lives to see that we can even develop the manpower that's necessary.
Yeah, but what gives us concern is whether it's true that it's a product of the lack of the gadgets or the product of the lack of the will to do the job they're supposed to do. Because whether they're gadgets or not, if they're not willing to do the job, they will not do it. Let me give you some instance. Someone withdraws your money from the bank. You go to the bank. They know how to trace where the money went to, but they will not do it. You report to the police that someone has snatched your bag, and they're telling you to fuel their car before they can move. That's not a product of saying the car is not available. They just want to frustrate you. You have to fund your own investigation. So is it really because there is no funds or there are no gadgets or something that, do you believe this is really something that they should be talking about now, or that they don't have the will to do what they're supposed to do?
You know, 2 weeks ago I completed a course on LinkedIn, how to become an ally, and it says to be able to check the root cause of every problem before you jump into that conclusion. And when you look at the situation that you have truly painted, there is a high level of truth in it. There's also a need to also ask why this has become the case, or this is the issue. I think it might have happened for some cases, but you can't really generalize it to the general Nigerian police force, because for what I also understand, there are times where they have done very well and they didn't really receive the best praise and accolades for it. However, there's no excuse for them to ever not be 100% up and doing, especially when it comes to security and protection of life and properties, or giving excuses for infrastructure gap. But I must tell you, when there's a will, there's a way. In the words of a wise man, when there's a will, there's a way. Why will the policeman be trying to drag his foot back when there is an oga on top that has given the instruction for them to go? That means something is happening to at the head of that particular maybe unit or station that's not right. So I want to say it is a combination of both. That's a combination of having the officers that might not be willing, and some of them too, you might see, is also a combination of having a lack of infrastructure. I mean, okay, for example, a soldier is only as good as how well you train him to use the gun in front of a battlefield. So you might have a situation that calls for the police attention, and they will not want to show their bravery anymore because of lack of infrastructure, and then they are seeing that the odds is against them. So these are real problems that have truly ensued in this sector. So we must do everything to look at it and say, okay, this might have happened because of these reasons. Let's be able to empower them better in this place, and then now hold them accountable. If something like that happens, you should report them to a senior authority. You should report the police people to be able to see that these things never repeat themselves again. Please, every Nigerian, do not take that type of nonchalantness from the security authorities. They are there to be able to protect the lives and property of every Nigerian, regardless of what it is. As far as you have fulfilled your part of this, what is required as a citizen to do to get them into your situation, then anything that happens that does not follow actions of movement to be able to rescue and save lives or property, you have the right to report them to higher authorities.
Glad that you're saying this, because my concern is when they get these devices, right? How sure are we that they're going to, even be trained to use them like how they're supposed to be used?
Or they will utilize them. Even use it.
Yes, utilize how they're going to utilize them, and then if they're going to even use them at all. Because we've seen cases whereby, they give them these resources and they don't care. They don't do anything to protect, the Nigerian lives and properties, like you just said. So how sure are we that when they get this, it is not just a way to siphon money, one, because they might just say, oh, this is how much we need for this, and maybe that's not the amount. So a way to just embezzle funds. And then if they truly get these gadgets that they're talking about, how sure are we that they're going to utilize them as well?
Yeah, it's bringing us back to that key point that I made, that a soldier that you put in the war front is only as good as to the level of training you have given to him or her to use the equipment that you have given to that soldier to defend you in the war front. We can only be sure when we have truly applied efforts from our end. You know, there's a popular saying that life does not really give you what you want, it gives you what you take away from it. So having provided this infrastructure, we must take something away from the roadmap that we must have designed for our security. And how do we do that? We ensure that we have provided this. There is also adequate required training for these new guys that will be required to operate it. I mean, every human being is excited to explore. When you have people willingly come from the different departments that want to learn how to use these equipments that have just been bought, I mean, those people will definitely come on board to be able to take on any challenge in real time. So it must come first that we take responsibility to actually train them and then assign them to maybe special units. Like I know that they have special units for different things. Maybe we'll differentiate some of them in terms of what their job specification will now be, so that we can always hold those set of people accountable for this. I'm very positive that if training is given to the Nigerian police force, they will always deliver on their duties.
But the problem is, I think they will get the training, but I think the training may not be sufficient. Psychological training and so on may not be as much as the physical training they're giving to them. Because when you talk about training and the person or a soldier being as good as the weapon before them, the Nigerian police people who are handling the guns, I'm sure they know how to shoot it. But we also have information from people who are being kidnapped and the kidnappers that are being also captured as well, telling us that sometimes even these policemen use the guns that government has given to them to rent to kidnappers and make returns from these guns. No matter how we want to write off that, we cannot, because this is something that so many testimonies have come that happened. So will they, it goes back to the question, will they even use it the way they're supposed to use it? Now they're complaining that it's because these things are not available. Well, what about the ones that are available? How are they using it?
How do you utilize it? Yeah.
The thing of trust is one of the biggest issue of man, and that's why technologies like blockchain technology to be able to help with transparency and to be able to help with accountability is there too. Now, you are not far from the truth. Human beings, we can be compromised at any point in time, given some incentives like money. Maybe if a loved one is also under threat, it might be a reason for them to compromise their stand. However, we must now fall back to, I think when these guys take their oaths, they have the oaths to be able to protect lives and property no matter what. And if you sell your soul, in Africa here, we believe that if you sell your soul for money or you sell your integrity for just money, then you really have nothing else to be living for. If you give it all out for just money, I mean, money shouldn't be everything. So as Africans, I believe we as Nigerians, we've also proven over the last years, and even in the last recent match, that were the giants of Africa. So we exude this level of self-discipline, this level of integrity. It's something that must now come from the staffs individually. I mean, you see the average U.S. police, he will not really compromise on a lot of things. You see the average U.S. soldier, Dubai police, they won't compromise on a lot of things. So let's look at a framework. How has these successful countries done it? What did they really do for their police that is making their police not to be able to compromise? Can we start implementing same? I know they've actually increased the salaries of police in recent time to be able to see that one or two things like maybe money does not really become an issue that will make them compromise their stand. But we need to also do way much more than that. Maybe assisting them to diffuse some of those extra costs that comes with family, because it's currently a very wild, wild west out there, especially with the bills, and it might make some of these officers compromise. However, I think if we take if you it's just like you have a security man that you have had in your gate for the last 10 years. You are paying 15,000 naira for 10 years. One day, stiff people might maybe come to meet that security man and give him 1 million, and you have never given him that, and you will give them access into your house. So we need to always also check who is at the gate, check your guy at the top, and then use that process to be able to connect the gap of what is making these guys to compromise their stand easily.
Okay, as we wind up now, I just want to get your suggestion. Since you said that it might be a very difficult thing to get these gadgets because the cost might be overwhelming, they should be some that we can start with. I mean, in a country that some senators can buy 160-something million naira cars, we shouldn't find it so difficult to buy gadgets that will protect the people. Because if we are not protected, no matter what you're driving, even if it costs $1 billion, you will not be safe driving it. So what are the basic ones that you think we should acquire as a nation that can help us to be more security efficient, if I may use the word?
You come again with your question.
Where do we start? What kind of gadgets do you think we need at least to begin with if we cannot get everything that we want because the cost might be overwhelming? So which are the ones that you would recommend if you were asked?
I mean, for starters, the basic, the basic thing that builds every economy, every organization is communication. High level of communication. For starters, the police can start by having good communications system. You find out that some of them, they can also start by having smart cameras too. Like some of them, they are unable to communicate very well. You see them on the road shouting, "Hey, they are trying to communicate with somebody at the other end." And you see, maybe there's a real-time issue before they can communicate effectively to the other guy. Becomes the problem. So they can start from smart communicators. They can also, these are easy. They can also start from smart cameras. They can also start from having, I think they can do better weapons, right? They can also, because, you see some policemen, the gun that they are using, even some of our farmers, they have grown some of those type of guns. So we can start by also investing into their weaponry as well. So because it's just like iPhone and Android though. If you hold them a good iPhone 15, you'll be happy to test the features on one or two things. But if you are holding a Nokia C something, this one of today, to bring it out to test the features might not be exciting to you. So we must also upgrade in that aspect. And I think with these basic upgrades, we can start moving in the right direction. They need a lot of, I think they also need a lot of computers and also the basic training to be able to, for example now, I've had experiences that you want to be able to, we need something called transaction traceability training for the security system in general. Traceability, like now we have the situation where we deal with digital currencies. There's cybercrime, there's cyber fraud. Some of these kidnappers, they use online passwords and means of obtaining information to be able to get across to these people. So we see that cybersecurity is also a place that the police must invest some level of tech skills into to be able to trace, get those IP addresses and all of those things of these people that maybe they even use money fraud to do one or two things. Now, I've seen a blockchain situation where the whole department, especially the department that was in charge of it, nobody knew how to even trace transaction on the blockchain. As a certified blockchain architect, I had to come in, bring in one or two of my colleagues before we were able to do a forensic traceability report for the police. Now, just imagine we had 4 or 5 people that were like me or had the skill set that I have in just that police department. It would have been easy, right, for them to be able to do that. So they need skill set to trace transaction in this modern world. There's no skill set for transaction traceability. And I mean, that's one of the biggest places that fraud happens. Kidnapping money passes through in this country. So that skill set is very, very necessary for the police right now.
All right, thank you, Rume, for your insight to this, and it was a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I'm grateful. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Okay, that was Rume.
That was another Rume.
That was another Rume. Dominic Rume Uririe is a certified blockchain architect and metaverse expert. The complaint has been from the security architecture that we have, that tracking device shortage is the one that is hindering police probes into kidnapping epidemic. Okay, well, we do hope that whatever their needs are will be satisfied and we will be safe, and we can sleep with both eyes closed as it is.
That's the prayer.
Yeah. Eventually, this is where we wrap it up.
Yes, this is the size of our show.
We thank you so much for being a part of it. We're inviting you back for tomorrow. My name is Nyamgul Agaji.
My name is Rume Paulson. Have an amazing day.
An African girl somewhere is sitting at home, accompanied by dreams that seem so far away. Africa is one of the continents with the highest out-of-school percentage in education, and girls are at an early disadvantage. The sub-Saharan Africa records about 18 million out-of-school girls. This gender gap extends to the tech space with a projection of only a 33% global female workforce representation in tech firms for 2022. Let us help change the stories and numbers. Africa Agility's Project Train a Girl campaign is working to help train African girls in tech. You can donate as little as $2 or 2,000 Naira to help a girl in tech get her heels in the door. Visit www.africaagility.rallyup.com/PTAG to donate.
I will take you through this amazingness today.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
So what are the top decisions that the United States considers necessary that Nigeria must take? I like to think of my interactions as conversations not interviews. And that's why I say asking questions is both an art and a science. Everyone says in Islam you are allowed to have 4 wives. Is it mandatory? The right question enables answers that educate, inform, clarify, and help you, the viewer, to better understand the issue before making up your mind.
Our goal is to reduce from 10 to 2 days the time it takes to register businesses in Nigeria.
Join me every week on this station, Plus TV Africa, and gain exclusive access to my conversations. I'm Angela Ajetumobi.
Good morning. My name is Nyamgul Agaji. This is the news brief. The Supreme Court has reserved judgment on an appeal filed by the All Progressives Congress APC and its candidate, Senator Aisha Dahiru, to challenge the governorship election in Adamawa State. The appellant argued for Governor Amadou Fintiri's sacking and appointing the court to set aside the concurrent verdicts of the Court of Appeal and the Adamawa State Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal. The court ruled that the appellant failed to substantiate the allegation. Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara says his administration and all contending challenges have been surrendered to God, with the confidence that he will continue to intervene in a manner that will shock the world. Governor Fubara gave the remark shortly after swearing in the Chief of Staff, Government House, and 5 special advisors at the executive chambers of Government House in Port Harcourt. The governor urged them to see their appointment as a call to duty, rise to the occasion of adding value to governance, and demonstrate that they are truly credible men of the state.
Don't use this position to antagonize anybody, even in your localities. I want to appeal to you.
My trust is not sure.
I will continue to say it. What God cannot do does not exist. That you succeed in battle is not because of your power. It's the grace of God. And when God says it will not happen again, wherever you are, it ceases from that moment. I'm not appointing you today because I want you to go to your area and start fighting. No. We have surrendered our situation to God. Do what you know that is right. Support the government in a way that will promote the image of our government.
While also urging the newly sworn in to support the government in a way that will promote its image, Governor Fubara warned that there will be consequences should the commissioners who were sworn in last week attempt to work against his administration to destroy it. The newly sworn in Chief of Staff and some special advisors thanked the governor for giving them the opportunity to serve the state and pledge to support the administration with their wealth of experience in development of the state.
To come and make my own contribution to the development of Rivers State. Even when I do not know the office I will be assigned to, but whatever office that I will be assigned to, I have the capacity, the wealth of experience to improve on whatever thing that is on ground. I believe in the charge of the governor. Governance is not about antagonizing people. Governance is about bringing a new invention and what you'll be remembered for. So for me, I will join His Excellency, the Governor of Rivers State, to make an impact so that me too, in my own little way, will be remembered. This is a stepping stone for me. It's an opportunity I've wished for myself to serve in Rivers State government, no matter the capacity. And today I've gotten the opportunity, so I'll make an input that people will remember me for it.
And from Rivers State, we move up north to Sokoto State, where Governor Ahmed Aliyu has described the recent judgment of the Supreme Court, which affirmed him the winner of the 2023 governorship election in the state, as a testimony of the just and fair judicial process in the country. The governor said this on Sunday while addressing residents of the state who gathered at the Sultan Abubakar III International Airport to welcome him and his entourage back to the state.
Judgment was in doctrine of fairness and justice on the face of the judiciary of this great country. And this is for the best interest of the nation's democracy and the rule of law. The judgment is a clear testimony of the fact that the nation's judiciary remains unbiased, and the judgment is for the overall benefit of the state and all the lovers of democracy within and outside Nigeria. In the last 7 months, our governor has been doing, it's been made very well in the state. The entire nation is saying, well done, Sokoto. Governor, please don't relent. Don't relent. It is time to rededicate yourself to do more and more and more. And I am confident that you are up to the task. You have the required confidence and determination to take our state to a greater height.
In Oyo State, Governor Seyi Makinde has expressed disappointment that only the People's Democratic Party candidate, Atiku Abubakar, has not contacted him to condole the recent explosion in Ibadan. The explosion resulted in 5 deaths, 77 injuries, and 58 damage to houses. Makinde thanked former Governor of Anambra and Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi for his visit, stating that politics did not interfere in the incident. Obi also called for a reduction in the cost of governance at the federal level and a focus on education, health, and poverty alleviation.
I thank you because politics didn't seep into this. You came here to commiserate with us over the explosion. The president has reached out to me. You have reached out to me. But my own party candidate, not even a call or a text message. I mean, I'm saying it openly so that our leaders will know that you have time for politics, you have time for governance, and you have time for humanity.
Elections are over. Governance is the key thing, and what is required is, for me in particular, is that we need to cut the cost of governance, especially at the federal level. It is unacceptable the way we're going. We need to prioritize areas, critical areas, education, health, and pulling people out of poverty.
In Ogun State, the impeached Speaker of the House of Assembly, Olakunle Oluomo, alongside 2 other principal career officers of the Assembly, Dayo Samuel and Adeyemo Adedeji, were on Monday arraigned before a federal high court sitting in Okemoson, Abeokuta, the capital of the state. Oluomo and the duo were dragged before the court by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission over alleged misappropriation of public funds, running into 2.5 billion naira. Oluomo allegedly committed this financial fraud while he was the Speaker of the Assembly in 2022. A federal high court in Abuja adjourned a 50 billion naira suit filed by Nnamdi Kanu, leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, against the Nigerian government until April 27. For further mention, Kanu filed a suit against the federal government of Nigeria and the Attorney General of the Federation, alleging violation of his rights and kidnapping from Kenya. The judge ordered a hearing notice to be issued against the next adjourned date. The Lagos State People's Democratic Party (PDP) chairman Philip Aivoji has regained freedom. Lagos State spokesman of the party, Hakeem Amode, confirmed the development to newsmen. Aivoji was released after he had spent 4 days with the kidnappers. Recall that Aivoji was kidnapped on Thursday at Ogere area of Ogun on Ibadan-Lagos Expressway. He was returning from the PDP Southwest Zonal meeting in Ibadan, Oyo State. The abductors had earlier contacted his family demanding for a 200 million naira ransom, but Amode did not confirm whether or not there was any payment before his release. Borno State Governor Professor Babagana Zulum has pledged to eradicate terrorism in the state before the end of his tenure. He emphasized the insecurity affecting economic development in the northern region of Nigeria, highlighting the need for collaboration to tackle the root causes. Zulum suggested tackling insecurity through the corruption crusade, improving education funding, job creation, security synergy with traditional rulers, and investing in agriculture. This position is supported by other stakeholders in the region.
Road infrastructure is key. Job creation is key. When we are speaking about education, there's one very important thing that we need to understand, which is education that can create wealth. Education that can create employment. Technical and vocational education. We have two major problems in our educational sector. One, the mismatch between our graduates and the labor market.
Modernizing agriculture. Modernizing agriculture is extremely critical because not only of food security and the issue of sovereignty, you can never be free where somebody is giving you food. Building the civil service, including the judiciary, and being open to the world is number 5. Number 6 is creating credible media to support the above objectives.
We have abjugated our responsibilities as agrarian people and waiting for handouts from federal government. This narrative must change. And that is the way to tackle banditry, insurgency through good governance.
First, we must strengthen the institution of governance and uphold the rule of law. This requires concerted effort to combat corruption, promote transparency, and ensure that we do not radicalize our people unnecessarily.
As the rising cases of insecurity in the country continue to attract comments from Nigerians from different walks of life, the Northern Youth Progressive Network has fingered crude oil theft as the major cause of insecurity and has continued to plague the country despite huge resources committed by the federal and state governments to fight the scourge and in protecting the nation's oil infrastructures.
In a population of over 200 million, what is the strength of our Navy? What is the capacity? What is the number of our Navy? What is the number of the Nigerian Army Police Force? You can see that it has been overwhelmed, considering the fact that there are challenges in northern Nigeria where the military has been overstretched, where the civil defense has, so all security agencies have been overstretched. So bringing in private security to collaborate, most especially private securities who are committed towards the growth and development of this great nation, Nigeria, I think it must be encouraged, because even in the United States, there are private securities that augment or consolidate the U.S. Army. So there's nothing bad about it. And today we are stating unequivocally that Tantita security outfit has done a marvelous job.
On whether it is right to engage a private security outfit to secure the nation's pipelines when we have enough security agencies to be able to do the job, the group says no security is ever enough to protect the nation's most prized assets that contributes to 80% of the nation's GDP.
We salute His Excellency President Ahmed Bola Tinubu, GCFR, for renewing the contract engagement. This can be possible without former President Muhammadu Buhari, who was a pioneer of inviting private security to manage our critical oil infrastructure. He only had thought that it would be expanded to cover the entire Niger Delta. We consider the decision of Malam Mele Kyari as patriotic and noble, just as the decision of late President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, who granted amnesty to Niger Delta militants, which eventually became a lasting solution to the crisis in the Niger Delta. We are optimistic that the engagement of Tantita Security Service Nigeria Limited will bring a permanent solution to the issue of oil theft in Nigeria.
The Center for African Liberation and Socio-Economic Rights, CALSER, has raised an alarm over an alleged plot to blackmail the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala. Speaking at a press conference on Monday in Abuja, convener Professor Thomas Uzzah said all thieves are on the prowl, seeking the head of the naval chief for thwarting their illicit businesses.
The Nigerian Navy in recent times has rejigged its operation, which has resulted in a drastic reduction of illicit trade in the nation's waterways. This position has pitched the Nigerian Navy against those vested interests that have milked the country dry through illicit activities. Therefore, the allegations of corruption, crude oil theft, and procurement fraud leveled against the Chief of Naval Staff are a manifestation of the slander campaign orchestrated by those whose illicit businesses have suffered setbacks as a result of the improved operational efficiency of the Nigerian Navy since the appointment of Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala as the Chief of Naval Staff. Oil thieves are on the prowl, seeking the head of the Chief of Naval Staff as a means of getting him out of the way so that they can continue with their illicit trade. The allegation that the Chief of Naval Staff received monies in exchange for granting passage to vessels loaded with stolen crude oil remains a figment of the imagination of the promoters of the story.
The Lagos State government has empowered another batch of beneficiaries totaling 1,700 from her NG Cares Labor-Intensive Public Welfare Program. Speaking during the sensitization ceremony, the Permanent Secretary, Office of Sustainable Development Goals, Tolani Oshodi, stated that the State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu is dedicated to providing opportunities to achieve a state of well-being and socially acceptable standards of living for all residents. Plus TV correspondent Love Ikuku-Oyedekun was there and now reports.
The NG Cares project is designed to enhance the socio-economic well-being of vulnerable members of society as well as alleviate their challenges. Drawn from various communities within Lagos State, the beneficiaries are predominantly unemployed and unskilled youth from vulnerable households aged between 18 and 45 years with educational qualification of senior secondary certificate or below. Dr. Oroluwa Fini is a special advisor to Governor Sanwo-Olu on Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. She describes the NG Cares Social Impact Initiative as one of the driving forces in realizing the vision of the Things Plus development agenda. Dr. Fini also noted that the scheme provides opportunities for meaningful engagement and breaking the cycle of poverty across the state. The special advisor also encourages beneficiaries to see the program not only as a job but an opportunity to learn, grow, and contribute to the overall development of their communities. Permanent Secretary, Office of Sustainable Development Goals, Tolani Oshodi, was represented by the Director, Administrative and Human Resources, Office of the SDGs, Nike Akonji.
Our primary objective is to provide immediate employment opportunities in social sector, thereby addressing the emergency constraint caused by this loss of labor, income in poor and vulnerable households due to COVID-19 pandemic.
She highlighted more on the significance of the project.
The main reason why government is doing this is to restore the impact of this COVID that we experienced some years back. And some people, they have lost the means of their livelihood. So in order for them to have food on their table, in order to encourage them, many of them, they have their own small scale businesses that they do. Many of them have lost it. So they are doing this program to restore them back.
Beneficiaries commended the state governor for the initiative.
I have a barbering salon that when I do get my stipend, I bought some clippers that we can use to barb. And since then, I've been gathering some money for my new glass. So I thank God, I thank Lagos State for the NCare program. It has been a benefit, and I really appreciate it.
I work with NQA Loma at Badagry. So when I started doing this job, I felt like, what am I doing? But by the time they gave us our money, I was so happy. I used it for to start up my little business.
We have so many of them, and they are expected to work for 4 hours in a day. So far, we have success stories of beneficiaries. Some people will say, oh, 50,000, what can 15,000 do? But trust me, 15,000 goes a long way in the life of the vulnerable people. You have success story of those that have started businesses, those that the business also, boost their businesses and also.
Earlier, Tolani Oshodi said the sensitization and engagement with the new beneficiaries was aimed at identifying their unique needs and support areas to ensure that they carry out their assignments responsively. Love Ikuku Oyedoku, Plus TV News.
And from other parts of Africa, the Sudanese Rapid Support Forces, RSF, downed on Sunday Mohajer 6, an Iranian-made drone, on Sunday in Omdurman. The RSF account on X announced that it was the third drone of this model that the forces have downed. According to the Rapid Support media, Mohajer 6 belongs to the Sudanese Army. Platforms supporting the RSF published a short video showing fighters carrying debris that they said belonged to the drone. Outside Africa, a drone attack on a base in Jordan killed 3 American troops Sunday, with President Joe Biden blaming Iran-backed militants and vowing to hold the perpetrators to account. It is the first time American military personnel have been killed by hostile fire in the Middle East since the start of Israel's war with Iran-backed Hamas, and the incident will further raise tensions in the region and fuel fears of a broader conflict directly involving Tehran. Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris were briefed on Sunday afternoon on the attack by several cabinet-level national security officials, the White House said. Speaking later in the day at a South Carolina church banquet center, the president doubled down on his pledge of reprisal. In business news, the Central Bank of Nigeria has released $500 million to various sectors to address the backlog of verified foreign exchange transactions. This comes just a week after the bank paid $2 billion to settle outstanding commitments across various sectors. The CBN is implementing a comprehensive strategy to improve liquidity in the Nigerian foreign exchange market, focusing on addressing fundamental issues that have hindered the effective operation of the markets. In entertainment news, Nigerian comedian Ayomakun, popularly known as AY, has written a petition to the police against one Agozi Samuel over his claim that he is having an affair with actor Yul Edochie's first wife, May Edochie. Samuel, in a post on his Facebook page, had alleged that AY was having an affair with May and was planning to marry her following the end of her marriage to Yul. The comedian has now petitioned the Delta State Police Command over the allegation. In a petition dated January 24, AY, through his lawyers, accused Agozi of criminal defamation and cyber stalking and requested his arrest and prosecution. He described the allegation as baseless and untrue. And finally, sports news. The Teranga Lions of Senegal have crashed out of the African Cup of Nations after losing 5-4 on penalties to host Ivory Coast. A humiliating 4-0 loss to Equatorial Guinea last Monday did not dampen support for the host nation, with supporters queuing from the middle of the night to buy tickets in the central city. French coach Jean-Louis Gasset was fired after the record home loss and after failing in an attempt to bring back former coach Hervé Renard, the Elephants promoted assistant Emers Faye. And that's the news brief. For more stories, please follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. You can also view us from Lamex on lamex.tv and Glow TV apps anywhere in the world. My name is Nyamgul Agaji. Many thanks for being there.
Nigeria has produced and continues to produce great writers who have won great accolades and recognition for their work. When discussing African literature, names like Chinua Achebe, Wole Soyinka, and Buchi Emecheta. But beyond these writers, exist modern writers redefining the fate of literature in Nigeria, Africa, and globally. 1. Chimamanda Adichie. The recipient of a MacArthur Foundation Fellowship was born on the 15th of September 1977 in Enugu, Nigeria. As a teenager, Chimamanda left for the United States and gained a scholarship to study communication at the Drexel University in Philadelphia, then pursued a degree in communication and political science at Eastern Connecticut State. Like the Purple Hibiscus, Half of a Yellowstone, and Americana have won various awards. Her 2012 talk, We Should All Be Feminists, started a worldwide conversation about feminism and was published as a book in 2014. Tomi Adeyemi. Tomi, the author of Children of Blood and Bone, was born on August 1st, 1993, in the United States to parents who emigrated from Nigeria. After graduating Harvard University with an honors degree in English literature, she received a fellowship to study West African mythology, religion, and culture in Salvador, Brazil. Her debut novel, Children of Blood and Bone, has spent over 2 years on the New York Times bestseller list, and its film adaptation is currently in active development with Disney's Fox and Lucasfilms. She was named one of Time magazine's 100 most influential people. She is a Hugo and Nebula award-winning Nigerian-American writer and storyteller based in Los Angeles, California. In 2020, she was named one of Forbes 30 Under 30 in media, and her website has been named one of the best websites for writers by Writers Digest. Teju Cole. Teju Cole is a novelist, photographer, and curator. He was born in 1975 in the U.S. He is currently the Gore Vidal Professor of the Practice of Creative Writing at Harvard University. His novella, Every Day is for the Thief, was named a Book of the Year by the New York Times, listed for the National Book Critics Circle Award and the New York Public Library Young Lions Award. Teju Cole has contributed to New York Times, The New Yorker, Granta, Brick, and many other magazines. Akwaekwe Emezi. Born 1987, Emezi is a National Book Foundation 535 honoree. She was born in Umuahia and raised in Aba, Nigeria. Her adult novel, The Death of Vivek Oji, was a New York Times bestseller, an indie bestseller, and an indie next selection, receiving rave reviews from the New York Times, USA Today, NPR, the LA Times, and the Washington Post. Her debut autobiographical novel, Freshwater, is in early development as a TV series at FX, with Emezi writing and producing with Tamara P. Carter. Translated into 12 languages, Freshwater won the 2019 Otherwise Award, formerly the Tiptree and the Normal Book. It was a New York Times notable book, as well as a finalist for the Center for Fiction's First Novel Prize, the Penn Hemingway Award, the NYPL Young Lions Fiction Award, the Edmund White Award for Debut Fiction, and a Lambda Literary Award. Beyond these writers are more individuals, old and young, using the power of the pen and ink to change the face and narrative of the country and the continent.
In December 2023, when the Central Bank of Nigeria CBN mandated the linkage of bank verification numbers BVN and the national identification numbers NIN across all tiers of accounts in Nigeria, this brought a wave of panic among customers who had run their account without BVN or NIN. Now, the Apex Bank, in a circular sent by the Director of the Payment System Management Department at the CBN, Chibuzo Ifobi, and the Director of the Financial Policy and Regulations Department, Haruna Mustafa, to all commercial, merchant, non-interest and payment service banks, other financial institutions and mobile money operators, stated that all individuals existing in new Tier 1, 2 and 3 accounts and wallets must have BVN or NIN. Mustafa noted that the mandate was part of the Apex Bank's effort in promoting financial system stability, which has led to its amendment of Section 153 of the Regulatory Framework for BVN Operations and watch list for the Nigeria Banking Industry Guidelines. The CBN circular also specified the existing unfunded individual Tier 1 account without BVN or NIN will be placed on no post or post no debit or credit immediately. As at today, only commercial banks can verify and modify BVN, but Nigeria has over 300 out of 774 local government areas without banks. For the NIMC, it has over 5,500 enrollment and 15,000 devices. There is no doubt that there is a gap. How can this be filled? As the deadline approaches, we will focus on the need to fill them at Neighborhood Financial Inclusion Center. Now, the Association of Mobile Money and Bank Agents will be joining us today to look at these critical issues. Welcome to Business Insight on Plus TV Africa. I am Justin Akadonye. Welcome back. Before we get into the discussion proper, education alone is not enough. Nigerians must engage in critical thinking to be able to get results into solving various challenges in life, including business and entrepreneurship. This was the submission of the convener of King Foundation, Onyime Ivy King, at Thinkation 2024, which is aimed at empowering young Nigerians and upskilling of talent. The event had an array of speakers who have had critical challenges and were able to think through them and got success. Details in this report. Young people are represented here to get inspired. The theme, Switch It On, is apt as it is meant to detect hidden talents among the youth and establish them to be impactful to the society.
You need to understand the passion that was in the heart of Dr. Ubon Kim.
The initiative, which started in 2018, had one goal in mind: to reach as many young people as possible in Africa and beyond. With economic challenges facing the country, there is a need for young Nigerians to fight for their financial freedom without depending on anyone for survival.
There is something in you that you need to switch on.
The event is interactive, as young ones indeed have lots to say.
So we, as Africans, as Nigerians, have what it takes to make the world a better place. I've seen this in many of the children I've taught, like their approach and their concept in solving problems with the little they know in class is just astonishing.
So what am I saying? My confidence comes from my parents and the things that they say to me. They're always speaking positive things into me. I'm always hearing positive things. I'm surrounded by so much positivity and love, and I'm so grateful for that.
The convener advocates the infusion of critical thinking into education, as it will empower young people with problem-solving skills to tackle the nation's economic challenges. Speakers share personal experiences to charge the young people to greatness, also emphasizing on the power of networking.
Is what you learn at the time is what you get. I was born in 1973. I had polio 1 year, 6 months after I was born. I've been on crutches for 4 years. I've worked in companies, managed hundreds of millions of dollars in assets, built companies that generate revenues up to tens of hundreds of millions of dollars around the world, have clients all over the world, and I still live in Nigeria. Don't do what you like. What should you do? Do what is right. And if what you like is not what is right, then make what is right what you like.
I sat down next to somebody, I didn't know who the person is. Let me tell you how serious that is. It's so serious that I know that my next level is connected to somebody I'm sitting with. That's how much I am cautious of my interconnectedness to another human being. Not trying to look for one miracle somewhere or something. I can tell.
The youth are also encouraged to follow people who are not caught in corners to success, just as they are implored to identify and meet gaps, as it is a true factor to wealth creation.
It's not enough for you to be educated. You must engage your critical thinking processes to be able to get results. So that's the whole essence of this event, the ability to think critically and think through problems and challenges to derive the answers that you have. And it also informs the speakers that we bring. There are people that have had critical challenges in their lives and they've been able to think through and they are now succeeding.
So one of the things that when people talk about wealth or how to grow wealth or how to become rich or how to become successful, what they don't talk about is that many people that become rich look for a gap and fill that gap.
The convener urges participants to switch on their hidden talent, because if it stays inside without being utilized, communities and indeed the nation is being robbed of impactful value. Welcome back. Now, the Central Bank of Nigeria, NIN, BVN Linkage Directive offers a much broader sense of increasing the number of financially included people, especially if it is very much strictly implemented. Once this is achieved, scammers who previously relied on stolen information to conduct fraudulent transactions will face a bigger challenge. Joining me now to discuss further on some of the peculiarities and issues is the National President of the Association of Mobile Money and Bank Agents of Nigeria, AMBAN, Fasasi Sharafaddin Atonda. Many thanks for joining us, Fasasi.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning, my host and viewers across the country. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right, let's talk about the BVN NIN linkage. The deadline is almost here, and what's the current situation as we speak?
Yes, of course, because of the fact that it's actually one of very good policy to ensure sanity in our payments industry. There is a need for us to have sufficient KYC, know your customer, in form of identity, national identity, and BVN. They are very critical to protect our payment system from a lot of hazards. So we are in total support of that. But the current situation now is the challenge of access points. There are no much provisions for where the masses of our people can have access to those services of whether fresh enrollment of NIN or fresh enrollment of BVN, and also in terms of the modification of the two databases. Because we have this understanding that as of today, only the commercial bank branches are enabled to modify or verify BVN across the country. And we are aware that over 300 local governments in Nigeria are without commercial banks branches. So that will be a very serious work. And we can see that the banking halls are becoming crowded already. Before it becomes a thing of a stampede at the banking halls. The sorry situation that we experienced during the cash crisis. There is a need for us to come and think ahead of time and provide solution. And that is what AMBAN, Association of Money and Bank Agents in Nigeria, is currently embarking on. Thank you.
Okay, let's talk about that now for a bit. Let's try and understand. In a circular that I've seen so far, you've talked about Neighborhood Financial Inclusion Center, and you said it's bringing critical financial services closer to the excluded communities in Nigeria. Let's talk about that and the need for it. Why is it, imperative right now?
Okay, we have observed that we need to support the Central Bank of Nigeria because most of our regulators underestimate the complexity of Nigeria. What we are seeing on the data is what we are working with. Majority of people are not aware that if you are seeing 200 million population on the database, that is telling you that the actual population is actually more than 200 million. So if we are looking at about 135 million excluded, Nigerian, you should know, if you're having that on the database, you should know in reality you have times 2 of that in reality. So anytime we are rolling out these policies, we need to also put into consideration, how to cover for those gaps, because most data are not actually captured, formally. A lot of people are in the informal sectors. So we need to have that understanding. So CBN has announced a 30-day, a sort of a 30 days ultimatum for over 134 million, bankable Nigeria to get their account with BVN, and over 200 million Nigerians with NIN should also get their NIN before the deadline. The accounts will be locked. And, when it has to do with money, people, being restricted from having access to their money, it will create a sort of crisis. So AMBAN is, thinking ahead and jumping and creating additional access points. We are proposing to have over additional 1,000 access points across the excluded local governments in Nigeria, where we will create a sort of an hub, a neighborhood financial inclusion hub. Instead of Nigerians to be looking for where will I do NIN, after finishing that, where will I do BVN, then if I have a SIM or number problem, where will I do my SIM swap or SIM linking? So we want to bring all the needed services to the neighborhood of Nigeria, at least one in a local government. So that is the idea about neighborhood financial inclusion, and to support the existing infrastructure.
Okay,
so
right now the question.
Will not pass through harrowing experiences. Yeah.
Now the question would be: this is a great plan, laudable as it is now. So, What have you done, and what feedbacks are you getting from the authorities, that is, and the NIPS and the NIMC as regards this, including AMBAN in enrollment and all of that? And then how would you tackle, maybe if the issues arise, issues of maybe some agent or so who may want to just do some sort of practices that might not really be in tandem with what the goal is intended to achieve in the first place?
Yeah, thank you so much. In terms of partnerships with enablers, if you look at the list of our participants in this project, we see financial inclusion as a stakeholder and an industry agenda, not banks agenda, not banks alone agenda. Because for financial inclusion, you actually require the services of all the stakeholders. Financial literacy will need to come in. The NGOs that are specified, that are focused on that, we have to come in and enlighten the people. It's not about opening bank accounts. There are a lot of bank accounts that have been opened, and almost about 60% of them are inactive. So how do you, first of all, educate the people, the need for them to be included in the banking sector? So we are bringing them. Then you need the services of telecommunication companies, the big shots in this world, so that they can get their SIM. If there is a problem on their BVN, maybe they have lost their SIM. To replace their SIM, you need, the telecommunication, companies. We are reaching out to most of them to come and participate in this. We are also a partner to NCC to ensure that we are able to work together. To NIPS, we have had our initial meeting with NIPS in conjunction with all other critical stakeholders. And we are also reaching out to them to enable most of those critical services. CBN, we are also interfacing with them. We have strong collaboration with CIBN, Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, who are also certifying, agents to participate in this project. Because this project is not for just any, agent. They must be professionally trained agents. They must be agents that knows that they can lose their certification if anything goes wrong. So that will take me to that your answer of security. How are we going to ensure professionalism? So first of all, we are starting with CIBN certification, and the training is starting this Thursday, and that will be handled by the key guys in the CIBN and also the NIPS. Right. So all industry associations are part of this. So we are starting with that, and also NIPS will also retrain. And the beauty of technology is that once a technology is programmed to request for certain documents before you can amend any database, then it makes it easier to control. All right. Because nobody can override the system. So it is as easy as technology-driven processes, backed up by certified and well-trained agents.
All right. I want you to share with us about some of the NFIC goals that you mentioned so far. You talked about achieving about 24 million bank transfers, 60 million BVN. Can you just throw more light on that?
Yes. As of today, out of about 134 million bankable Nigerians, we only have about 59.9 BVN. So we have a gap of about 74 million Nigerians excluded without BVN. So that is the gap we need to cover in 30 days. And the current infrastructure, the bank branches today, with their procedures, with the way they work, they cannot meet up with that gap. So part of what we are programmed to do is to roll out about minimum 100 agents per local government to come to that hub, and deliver minimum about 50 to 100, BVN registration daily. And when you do that for the next 30 days, you are achieving about 40 million, 60 million, BVN in addition to what, you have currently. That will close the gap of the 74 million Nigeria. The same thing, NIN, we are also projecting, because as of today, NIMC has actually disconnected all private partners, front-end partners, they call it, since August last year. That means 0 for NIN enrollments in Nigeria out of, estimated population of 200 million. That means we have about 96 million gap that we need to also cover in the next 30 days. So we are working with NIMC to see how they can key into this program and enable our trained and certified agents to deliver these services. And you will agree with me that agents, the capacity of agents to achieve this in little time is not in doubt. If you remember, before 2021, for NIN, Nigeria government's infrastructure through NIMC was able to deliver only about 45 million enrollment in 10 years, more than 10 years of their existence. And when they involved us in 2021, within the space of 2 years, we are able to move the figure from 45 to 100 million, in enrollment. And also when NIPS involve agents across locations, they are able to also scale from about 10, 20 million enrollments, to 59, where they are today. So our capacities, our spread, our ability, and our smartness is not in doubt to deliver on these figures.
All right, I'm sure there are no in doubt about it. Let's try and streamline it very well so we can get more clarity. You talked about stationed and mobile approaches. Can you tell us about those approaches very quickly?
We have, because we are in the informal sector, we have the understanding and, dynamics that exist in the informal sector. Today, the disadvantage of bank branches is the traders, the artisans, they find it very difficult to leave their markets and move to the bank and queue to enroll. So we want to take that neighborhood, apart from the fact that we have stations, which are for the working customers, people that have the time to come to that hub. We will also take it to them. So that means you will not have reason not to have NIN or BVN enrolled or tied to your account. We will use mobile van to go and cover village markets and also all the local trainings, of a particular local government. We want to enter the hinterlands. These are what we have been doing over the years, and we can still do it.
All right, we wish you all the best in the approach, and by so doing, Nigerians will be financially included, and of course, the issue of security and theft and frauds that have plagued the banking and financial sector for quite a while will actually be stemmed, in the board. Thank you so much for your time, and thanks for what you're doing at AMBAN.
Thank you for having me.
All right, my guest has been the National President of the Association of Mobile Money and Bank Agents of Nigeria, AMBAN, Fasasi Atonda, and together we're looking at financial inclusion, the need for, to bring it back closer to the people even as the deadline approaches. That's the size of the show for today. I am Justin Akadonye. Many thanks for being there.
is very important because most people don't know what people go through. You know, celebrities will always try to put up this strong front. People see us like, oh, I look up to them. They don't cry, they don't suffer, they don't go through depression, they don't have any problems. So for me, as a person, I always like to share my experience with people because I want them to learn from how I've used those experiences to become a better person.
Oftentimes when we see celebrities either on social media, television, or in person, we assume they have it all together, but we forget that they're also human. Well, here are some of the low points of some of your favorite celebrities.
That's yours. As anything, as a model, as an entertainer, as an actor, I didn't get one job. I'm not talking about 2 weeks. I'm not talking about 3 months. I'm not talking about one. I'm not talking about 6 months. I'm talking about 2 years. So 2 years I was sitting at home. Not like I wasn't working. Not like I wasn't going for castings. Not like I wasn't doing whatever others were doing. I didn't get anything, guys. So put that to what you're going through now. You get, because some people get out of school and they're like, I've not made it, man. It's been like 6 months, man. Nothing happened. Bye-bye. 2 years. But here we are. So what I'm trying to say is that everybody has their own timeline. Everybody has their own story. So don't use that to say, don't be looking at somebody else's success and say, because it happened to Rami, it must happen to me in 1 week. But no.
Nobody knows I went through the hardship of life and I went through my ups and downs. And I just had only one person who was actually there for me, which was my mom anyways. So I had a rocky university days. I think people don't know that. I actually went to 3 universities and ended up finishing in one shop.
I drove into a filling station and I was meant to get fuel, 4,000. Do you understand? And probably the guy that was selling, he used to be my fan when I was working, in the radio as a presenter. But like, oh, Baba, now you Casey Brown, Baba, Baba. He got confused. He gave me full tank instead of 4,000. Do you understand? So, and then I don't have up to that amount to fix it up. Because in real, I don't get them. All I have with me is 4,000 naira for the fuel and 8,000 naira to butter my.
I had to work hard, I had to work hard. So being where I am today, I always think about what I did back in the day, how far I've come, and this is only the beginning. I know that the sky is just the starting point. It's definitely not the limit. So yeah.
There was a time in my life I just moved out of home. I wanted to be a man on my own terms. So I moved out of home, left the family business, and I went to quote-unquote hustle. I moved in with a friend of mine who lived in Shomolu. I was so broke because I had nothing. I took nothing from home. That I had to walk from Shomolu to Surulere every day for a year and a half. I had no money. I could barely afford 1 meal a day. My job at that point, even after graduating from university, was distributing flyers on the streets of Lagos. What that taught me about myself was that I had a never say die attitude, and I have the strength and resilience to face any circumstance. I came out of that stronger. Like sometimes I look back now and I realize if I could have survived that time, then really there are only a few challenges that will come to me or come my way that I wouldn't be able to survive. And with that kind of confidence, I think everybody, when you figure out what it is about you that is special, with that confidence, you can surmount almost every issue that comes your way.
This area was really well known to our ancestors. They came through here, they camped, they had sites where they always returned to. The buffalo followed the stars, and we followed the buffalo.
My grandmother's told me to grow that strength too. So that's her role in the Lakota way of life.
My grandfather picked this area because of the creek and the water, the canyons and the trees. My name is Leola One Feather, and I live at Wunditni. And this Get out of there! My grandmother bought this trailer house. It's been here for 40 years. And we haven't had running water for probably when the trailer house shifted. God, it was... Naochba means push your foot in. Like cave it in. That's what it means.
Mama, naughty.
Yeah, you broke it. That was your birthday present. I just got on Social Security, and since I got these kids, I didn't get any assistance for them. They gave me $308 for food stamps for 3 of them. Their mom is in jail right now. So our kids get in trouble, whether it's drugs or drinking or whatever. Now the burden of the children in our tribe is set on us grandmothers. Take this back in there and go in there and behave. We're talking here, not listening. For all of our tribe, there's only like 2,000 jobs. It's all dependent on the federal contracts that our tribe gets. And we don't have a private sector, so we don't have the money to restart businesses. We still have good land, you know, and it does bother a lot of people because we're surrounded by racism. We didn't want to be Americans. We wanted to just be our own people. Growing up in a home where the language is predominantly Lakota. I didn't know how to read Lakota, but I learned. We have our stories of creation and how we develop over time. So we have a whole different process that Americans haven't been able to figure out. They can't figure out why we think different. In our culture, the girls are more emotionally. She'll have the respect and honor of the same as a man.
Roll. 3, 2, 1. How can I kick it? Take it to the gate. Take it to the gate. My parents, I love them, but sometimes they're a little strict on me. They kind of fight. they just argue a little times. So that's why I just don't really hang out with them. Oh, yeah, we got puppies. We got puppies. Oh, poor baby. Oh, puppy. I go different places. I mostly go to my grandma's. She took care of me for 2 years. Here you go, you can have the puppy back. She has like, I forgot what those things were where you take a kid away from your parents. Before my grandma took me, I used to have an uncle that took care of me. He got buried out close to Red Cloud School. Yeah, I only go see him once in a while, but I don't usually see him because it's sad for me. Go inside. Yeah, I think we got that one down now. Oh, I can't reach it. Tippy toe. It won't reach. Cold. Cold. Here you go, patient. Thank you, sissy. Sisters. 7 Up. 7 Up, thumbs up. I didn't really go to school because I had a runny nose. So what I did in the morning was just eat oatmeal and then took another nap and played on my phone. AJ, what's 1 plus 2? 1 plus 2. What's 1? Okay. What is 3 plus 2? 9. Nope. Wrong. What's 3 plus 2? The only thing I usually do is clean. I clean, well, not really, but I usually help my grandpa do things. Hello. Thank you, Sandra.
I was in New York years ago. Okay. I heard it's dangerous here too.
Okay. I need a cup before you go. Yeah. Talk with the girls. Okay. Tickle, tickle. Wait, what you say?
Her and I, that's 4 generations.
I'm the Lakota woman. Right. Say yes.
Say Makutawia.
Lakotawia.
We here are the Oglala Lakota band. We got a mean loss of identity here due to forced assimilation.
The government done a good job on us. They're using some kind of cultural module called self-hate, where they had us ashamed of who we were.
You're listening to the Thunder Valley CDC Radio Hour.
Welcome to the Thunder Valley CDC Radio Hour. We'd just like to know what you're up to here on Pine Ridge today.
We're working with Native American nations in the U.S. to establish what we call girl societies, which are neighborhood-based safe places where girls can go to have fun, but also talk about problems and be able to pursue opportunities. I'm Kelly Hallman. I'm a Cherokee Nation citizen from Oklahoma.
Am I a community member visitor? Is that what I am, or?
I'm the founder and executive director of the Indigenous Adolescent Girls Empowerment Network.
Do I need a key?
Is this where we're meeting tomorrow?
Yes, so this is the space that you'll meet tomorrow. It's really a neat facility. There's none like it on the Oglala Lakota Nation whatsoever.
We put out a call for tribal organizations to learn the planning tools to set up a girls' society.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
What's going on with girls in your community? It's more about the general social and emotional supports that girls need.
I speak for our reservation because this is where I've been. We're not supportive of one another, and it's time now to let that all go because we have to support one another, and we have to bring that together for our daughters and our future.
That's why I feel like these programs are so important, to teach our young girls to have pride in themselves and who they are and how to protect and understand their sacredness of being Lakota Gwians and what that means. You don't want to prepare them to be victims, to be those statistics. We have like parents selling their babies, caregivers selling their babies. We have dealers in Parmalee that are saying, here are victims, and the trafficking was in Rapid and they were brought home.
What our people struggle with is addiction. And so they're struggling with the addiction of either alcohol or a drug of meth, marijuana, or opiates. How do we teach them at a young age to know who they are and to be?
It's such a hard issue, and it affects, all of us. How many of us in the room have somebody who's committed or attempted within our family or within our friend circle? What got those babies so far down here to be hopeless, right? And so that's the purpose of the Imagine programming, is to build those baby girls up.
We have a strong belief that the women are sacred, women being the backbone of our society. So I think having a strong girl society and a strong womanhood will help our communities grow and thrive in the conditions that we have. My name is Amy Pond. I'm from Pine Ridge, South Dakota. I born and raised there, which is village, the middle of the reservation.
Wait, hold on.
This is home to me. My family's here. I was a little bit lucky, I guess, in that aspect. Both my parents were employed, my parents were married. When I was young, my dad decided to quit drinking as much as I could. So I finished my master's program, and then I started looking for jobs here back home. And I want that to be the norm for girls.
Can we help? Yeah, stand in here. Grabbing stuff. That's good bread. She makes good bread. I bet. It's gonna get
this by itself so I don't dump it on the sidewalk. A way of planning tools, like kind of a way to start it and keep it running. With the historical oppression that Native American people have experienced here in the U.S., family structures are often broken down. And so sometimes it's the teenage girls in the household that are the real sort of supports of both their mothers and grandmothers as well as the younger children. So girls have a lot more on their plates than boys do in terms of pregnancy risk, in terms of dropping out of school, in terms of having to shoulder the responsibilities of heading a family. Traditionally, in Native communities, there were societies to accomplish different things. There was a war society, there was often an agricultural society, a hunting society, there was a society to do coming-of-age ceremonies. The matrilineal traditions in many Native particular strengths, and men have particular strengths. We have like roles that we play, and that's how we've survived. When I was growing up as a kid, we moved around a lot because my father had a mobile job, and so it was always important to remember where I was from and who I was. Sort of want to be closer to home, looking at what role I might play in Indian country.
My name is Nikan Waywardon, or Thunder Before the Storm. My colonial name is Clyde Belcourt, and I'm one of the founders of the American Indian Movement. I come here every year to celebrate this great victory that took place here. And I was one of the main people to bring the people here to Wounded Knee in 1973. We had a lot of women, and the women were strong.
A lot of us women, when we were young, we were really into the American Indian movement. I'm sure that, I have a pretty thick file with the FBI.
When we came here, it was going to be a peaceful occupation and liberation of this community. The very next morning, when we woke up, and they gave me some binoculars, and all the way in this hill, all the way around us, there was armored personnel carriers.
We were surrounded by all the federal agencies, the military. The BIA police are really vicious.
This government has done everything it's can, stripped us of our language, our culture, our tradition, and our land and our water. And they thought that we would surrender. So we put our minds together and said, we're not going anywhere. This is our land. We're going to stand up. We're going to show our Indian people how to stand up again and be warriors. Gitchida Kwe, women warriors.
Oh, perfect. A lot of fun. Yeah. We're expecting in all 9 districts for there to be a girls' society. It's open to all girls. There's fun things that girls will do, sewing, beading, playing hand games, other things like that. And so you'll also learn skills too, like how to prepare to get into college, how to get scholarships. I'm happy to answer any questions, but otherwise I'll turn it over to Amy to give you some more details about exactly what they're doing here.
So
there's a question.
Question?
Oh, it depends on where you go.
Depends. We could talk about that at the Girls Society next week. Another really important part of this is we want to make sure girls are able to learn about our culture. They're able to learn about the ceremonies. Maybe we'll be able to take them to a sweat or something, or we'd like to take them on field trips to the sacred sites. But how this really works is through mentor time every day of the week, so that girls have a place to go where they feel safe and where they feel like they could talk about girl things with other girls and females. I couldn't imagine being anywhere else or doing anything else. As far as feeling like a sacrifice for being here, no, not at all. The opposite. A lot of times our girls and our people in general are overlooked and undercounted, underrepresented, and just need to have a stronger voice. So fill this out, I could take it with me, and then we could start one like at the school or something. And the girls could actually go ahead and fill it out and turn it back into me. I don't want their names or anything. We talk a lot about liberation, about self-determination. We want to start it in Pine Ridge. I'm just looking for more mentors. We talk about sovereignty and being self-reliant. We want people to feel like we're not stuck and that there's hope.
thing is like having like doing activities and stuff?
Yeah. It's kind of like a talking circle, and there'll be some fun activities and hopefully field trips, things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it happen every week?
Once a week, yeah. Yep.
I want to be a doctor because I like to help people feel better when they're sick and stuff. Never mind. I'm lying with you. I would like to go and live in a big city, like in New York or somewhere.
I want to be in the ER, probably go to college, have a good college, good grades, get my master's, and have a good life. I want to go to high school and finish high school. I want to go to college, and after that, I want to go to the Air Force.
That's the crab wall. Do you guys ever where they go? Do the crab.
I want to be like my auntie, because she was in the Air Force for 3 or 5 years, and then she made it sound cool, but then she said it was a little hard to fly because there's a whole bunch of buttons. I'm like, but I can think I could get him in my head because I'm really strong, so I can do it.
16, 17, 18, 19.
And then I also want to have a good house and a good life, and sometimes take care of my grandpa. Yeah.
Okay. I want to see my grandpa real fast, okay?
If you come out here and you build something of great value, you can make it. That's what's amazing about Silicon Valley, and that's why you see everyone flocking towards Silicon Valley.
It's really that place where there's this groundswell of smart people dedicated to using technology to solve very big.
An African leaves Africa and comes here. We're coming here to do battle.
Hi, my name is E, and I am Managing Director and co-founder of Flutterwave. And Flutterwave is one API for payments across Africa.
Hi, my name is Jonas Beshouted, CEO and founder of Stackshare. Stackshare is the best place for engineers and developers to discover and compare software tools.
Hi, my name is Bukola. I consider myself a connector. I build platforms to reach African audiences back home, as well as here in the US, to tap into their common interest. This is exactly what I've done with Jandus.
Mall for Africa is an online platform that enables US and UK retailers easily sell into Africa without any hassles or worries. We also help people in Africa purchase items from UK and US retailers without any stress. Mall for Africa started really with an idea. I was born and raised in Nigeria, so out of necessity, I guess, my parents and brothers and friends thought they could utilize me as their shipping company. There was one day in particular, I went to the airport and I had 10 suitcases. And I remember vividly the lady across the counter, it was a Delta flight, the lady across the counter looking at me like up and down, like, you are not serious, this is not gonna happen. So I decided to build an app.
Jandus Radio started off with just word of mouth. I sent it to a couple of friends who wanted to listen to live radio back home. We didn't have a lot of apps that were catering to African content and radio at that time. So I sent it out to them and they sent it to their friends. And before you know it, it actually was a trending topic in Nigeria on Twitter for like, I think it was 12 hours straight. People were talking about, oh my God, I have an app that has over like 300 radio stations. I'm in Abuja, I can listen to Beat FM. Beat FM is the most popular station in Lagos. And they're like, oh my God, I could never listen to this before. Now with this app, I can listen to my favorite station now.
You know, I'm working on a platform product, which is payments, right? And I started digging into that and realized like it was an absolute nightmare to be a developer and get paid in Africa. I'll give you an example, like up until recently, if you were services by doing so, right? That is revolutionary.
The concept was, let's bring all of these tools that you use to build your company and your apps and infrastructure, let's bring them into one place and organize it. And other industries had done it. You know, Yelp has done it for restaurants, you know, TripAdvisor for travel and international places. So this wasn't really a new concept, but no one had really done this for software. If you think about it today, you know, where do you go for software decisions? It's still Googling around and it's mad. We were actually the first site to really do that. You know, there were other sites that were trying to do sort of similar things. They've done software reviews, but we were actually the first site to say, you know, share all the software that you're using.
For an average entrepreneur in Silicon Valley, there are stages to what the venture funding cycle looks like. You have to start off with a seed stage. You have to be able to get, it was very unique. I was able to get, or I should be able to get somebody to pay me for my solution, but I should be able to repeat that so many times that it becomes scalable and sustainable.
I know people who have joined a startup that thinks it's going to be the next big thing. And then you just wake up one morning and they didn't get the funding round and it's lock up shop. and that's it. Happens a lot more often than it's talked about.
It is a place where you can come and make your dreams come true, and particularly in the technology space, it's a really a good ecosystem to get things done. And of course part of it's venture capital, right? So people take risks here, and it's a place that's tolerant of failure.
They're not looking necessarily for the steady company, they're looking for companies that will grow quickly. A lot of them will fail. They won't get their money back. Some of them will bring some money back, and a small percentage of them will hopefully bring a big return. The Draper Venture Network's mission is to be in all the places where interesting technology is being developed, where entrepreneurs are doing great things. And right now, we have partner funds on all the continents except Africa. So we're actively looking for a fund that fits the kind of profile we're looking for. They're investing in early stage technology companies.
It's not an exact science. A lot of it's just character assessment. People who are trying to build something bold versus like copying an idea, in it for the long term, have the tenacity and ambition to see it through, boldness. Yeah, definitely think e-commerce is a huge area, allowing Africans to buy products they couldn't otherwise access easily, particularly without having to build huge malls and kind of leapfrogging retail. Financial services is also a big area. Fintech, anything around telemedicine, because access to doctors is really hard in Africa.
What everybody hears is you raised 100 million. They say, yeah, but that's not success. Success is lasting long enough till you can exit, either through an acquisition or an IPO, and the money that the investors get in becomes liquid and fungible. So a lot of businesses I've seen don't make it out of the exit, and that means everybody gets washed out. You just spend 7-8 years of your life working on this thing that didn't pan out.
The 5 or 6 most valuable companies on the stock exchange are technology companies that were once venture-backed. So it's a compelling story about how people that invest in high-risk ventures are able to move a society forward because they were willing to make the investment when those ventures looked silly. And one thinks maybe this could happen in Africa.
We belong to the school of thought that that believes very firmly that Africa's future will be built on the back of entrepreneurs. We are firmly rooted in bridging those knowledge gaps and making sure that the interconnectedness between Africa and the rest of the world comes in forms of capital, in forms of education and resources, and mostly it's people and their ability to think and grow beyond what's currently attainable by using technology to flatten the playing field.
Zebracorn is going to be a company that's built in Africa, for Africa, and scaled in Africa. It could become a unicorn by going beyond Africa, but made in Africa, scaled in Africa, serves multiple African markets. And that's really what distinguishes Zebracorn.
So the first piece of code I wrote was my freshman year in college. I was like 16. I took Java, and it was a program to like animate some radio, and I was able to code it, and I'm like, oh wait, it works. Like I just wrote code. I typed stuff and I ran it and it worked. I got thrown into mobile app development towards like 2010, where I created an app that went viral in Nigeria. Initially, it just started off as just radio and nothing else. So I said, what about news? What about gossip news, entertainment, sports, health news? Then I was like, okay, we can make this a little more social. What about having people interact on the app?
I'd always been into tech. Growing up, I was like the tech person within our family. People would always look to me. So I'd always been interested in it, but I'd never considered it as a real career path because I didn't have someone that I could point to that was in that industry. Everyone I knew was, sort of outside of tech.
I started to look at the internet as this space where it didn't matter who you were, but you were able to reach the most amount of people.
Hey, good to meet you, I'm Mark.
Mark Zuckerberg was my earliest influence. I've continued to be influenced by his approach to tech because it's the perfect mix of social mission, right, and economic impact. It's not about building a big company, and neither is it about being an NGO and giving everything away. It's about building a system.
Introducing Mall for Africa,
So let's say you are in a rural town in Nigeria. Download the app on your preferred device, find the product you want. Once you've added it to the cart, you click on Our Pay button, and as they say, that's when the magic happens. We take the content from the cart, we put it in our environment, and now we allow you to select where you want to have the item shipped, how you want to pay for the product. Once you've made the payment for the product is then shipped from the site you purchased it from. It's shipped to our warehouse, then we tag it, and then we ship it out to you, taking care of all customs, duties, fees, and making sure everything goes perfectly right.
When I turned 25, kind of just reviewing the 5 years, I kind of settled on this vision of the world that was about building the future of Africa. And for me, it settles on three things. So it's a remarkably clear vision of what I want to do, and it's very simple. It's people, it's platforms, and it's policy.
Andela is a platform for tech-powered growth.
Its future will be written in Lagos,
Nairobi,
and cities across Africa.
And that was what we did at Andela, right? Found really smart young people, very motivated, with high learning agility, paid them while we taught them how to build software, and then got Facebook and Google and IBM and all these companies to hire them to build products for them.
This is Andela.
So what Flutterwave is, it's an API that enables anyone from anywhere in the world to process any kind of payment across Africa. We are finally making financial inclusion real.
Every time I went to one of these hackathons, I'd see a new API and I'd think, man, I should know about that. Like, there should be this one online space that has all the best stuff and feedback from developers and engineers and people actually building software, you know? I was like, man, this should exist and I should just go build it, you know? And so I just treated it as a side project at first. At the time, it was called LeanStack. Eventually, I got introduced to this guy named Nick Grandy, and he was the first employee at Airbnb. So we started working together for about 6 months. We built out the first real version of LeanStack at the time. And then he actually stayed on as an advisor, and he was the first investor. So, you know, that was big.
We had a hosting company that had malfunction in their servers, and they deleted the whole database by accident and had no backup. Sadly, we had to shut down temporarily, but we're working on rebuilding.
We believe the best way to solve this problem is to show you what the best companies in the world are using and why.
The transition was, it's like realizing that the best thing we can do is try to mimic an in-person conversation between two people, the two engineers, right? It's like, okay, what's the problem you're trying to solve? Oh, okay, well, we don't have good visibility into how our app is performing in production. Okay, well, here's what we use, right? Like, here's how we solve that problem, right? And you tell them what you use, and then like within 30 minutes, it's like, okay, I know that I need to use that now because I trust this person, I trust their decision-making process, and it sounds like a good one to go with, so let me go with that.
I have a passion for creating products that I am interested in and that I'm passionate about. It's tough because at the same time, you have to make a living. And being a startup founder, you don't always have the means to provide for yourself. I didn't have any of that, any serious investors. So after a while, I just to keep myself from not starving, I actually had to break down and actually get a 9-to-5 just so I can provide for myself.
I basically just kept at it because I saw the value of it and I saw that it was picking up steam. I could see it getting easier.
So you typically wake up around 4:35 because that's when the first calls are. My team all over the world, I try and talk to them as regularly as I can. I'll probably end around 12, only because I like to sync up with some banks and team members very early in the morning when they wake up. So it's a lot of work and not a lot of sleep.
Definitely, it's a lot of work because the 9 to 5 does take a lot of your time. But always in your free time, even if it's an hour or 2 hours a day that you can find, I'm always doing that. I'm working on something right now, that I'm hoping is gonna be very massively successful once I'm ready.
You go to a venture capital in Palo Alto on Sanio Road and you say, hey, I'm trying to raise funds for my African company. And they look at you and they say, are people buying Ralph Lauren? Are people buying Louis Vuitton? Do they know who Prada is?
So I think part of the challenge with being black in tech is that there just aren't enough black people in tech. When you see all the big companies, they all have like co-founders that went to school together. And when you grow up with people that aren't in tech, you don't have the luxury of saying, okay, I'm gonna start a company and I know exactly who I'm gonna tag and bring in as co-founders or early employees.
What role do networks play here in Silicon Valley? I think it's a huge, huge role. It might be the distinctive of Silicon Valley, how over time these networks have grown. Cold call somebody or send a cold email to somebody and say, hey, I saw this thing that you did, and surprise, surprise, they respond.
There's a lot of work that has to be done, the cultural preparation of what to expect in the Valley. And sometimes it's the most ridiculous, mundane, simple things. Punctuality at meetings, the way you approach people, email etiquette, business etiquette. It's the simplest things that have profound consequences within a cross-cultural scenario.
Growing up in Nigeria, as an African in Nigeria, I have natural networks. I have cousins, I have brothers, I have classmates. I like to say I can get to the president in Nigeria, whereas in the US, I can't even get to my mayor. If you are not from here, it's very difficult for you to have a social network. You have to create that social network yourself.
We want to make it. If you came into Silicon Valley and you're a well-trained research and development professional and you went to Stanford or UCSF and you were a specialist in what you do, you'll get a great job and you'll get well paid. If you came into Silicon Valley and you were of African descent and you knew nobody in the Valley, it would take you a longer time.
In Africa, I'm an Igbo man. I don't even know that I'm black because everybody's black. It's like asking a fish what is water. So Silicon Valley also has the aspect of the fact that it's about 3% black, which a lot of people don't realize until they get here.
Where I work right now, I'm the only female.
Where you go to one of the ways to solve that is just making sure that tech is part of that pool of options for us to make it the norm, right? Where when they see an African entrepreneur or a black founder, it's like, oh, that's normal.
Hey, it's good. How's it going? I'm back sooner than you thought. Huh? Yeah. How was the integration? Was it good?
What you want to do as an African in the Valley is really plug into as many networks as you can, because that's ultimately kind of how you find the people who are ultimately going to root for your success.
I definitely see myself doing this for the next, at least 5 to 10 years. And I think anytime you're building a company, you have to be thinking long term. I'm also a realist, and I know that if the worst happens, right, we get to a certain stage where it's like, look, we've sort of like exhausted all of our options, and this is the best we can do with this thing. There'll be something else that I work on.
I think the biggest impact that an African entrepreneur can have on Africa is to be seen, be a role model. Be something and someone that people want to aspire to be like. Be successful.
Thank you, Eddie. All right.
Apple actually has a woman of African descent. She's actually Ghanaian. That's one of their top people in marketing. Her name is Bozoma St. John. And that's what I'm trying to achieve. I don't want to fit in, because I feel like when you fit in, you don't stand out.
Come on, y'all.
I love the Valley, but but I only love it to the extent that I can establish these networks between the Valley and Africa that make Africa better. And I think that's ultimately the vision of Africa that we believe Flutterwave is going to enable. One Africa, starting with unified financial infrastructure.
I'm doing 7 figures, even 8 figures a year. This is a really good idea and it's a good company to work with. My vision for Mall for Africa is bigger than Mall for Africa. It's actually Mall for the world. The vision is to help other emerging markets via a brand Mall for the world. And we've already started doing that.
We are sitting on a huge powder keg of potential in Africa. Over the next 20 to 30 years, more than half of the world's working population is going to live in Africa. It's the second largest continent in the world by size and by people. I don't think there's any narrative of the world that is complete without Africa being a major part or player in it. For us, winning means being able to come back in 10, 15 years and say, technology changed Africa, and you were in part of one of the greatest wealth creation, value creation opportunities in modern history. That's what winning is.
Okay.
Hello?
Hey, how you doing?
Hi everyone. Since we last met, we have made a lot of progress and done a lot of great things. We're under a new name called Mall for the World, which is same thing as Mall for Africa, but outside of Africa.
I have released a new app called Afrocast, and basically it's a podcast aggregator for millennials. So far we are in beta. We have over 300 users, so I'm really excited about that.
We launched a new jobs platform that allows engineers to essentially find jobs based on the technology they're familiar with. We've had our best month ever in terms of traffic. We were also featured in Software Development Times, online magazine for engineers and developers.
Flutterwave has been doing really well. Since that time, we've more than 10 times our total process volume. So we do about $500 million in total process volume, and we do more than $100 million in total process volume every month.
Come back to the West Coast.
Hello, welcome to this edition of our program, your program. We sit down, we talk, timeless conversations. My guest today is a very well-known face, very well-known name, who has successfully combined humility with success, being able to stay in the limelight without any controversy. I'd like to welcome to the program, Akin Lewis. Akin Lewis is an award-winning actor, director, and producer. He has been in the industry for over 46 years. Akin fell in love with acting from the age of 12. His father regularly bought him comics and literature books to broaden his knowledge. Akin started his education in Zaria and later moved to Ibadan, where he attended Lagelu Grammar School. He read drama and had a first class in acting and directing from the University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University. Akin also got initial training in NTV Ibadan. In 1980, Why Worry? A situation comedy on NTA Ibadan made Akin Louis popular. His experience also runs into the corporate world. At different times, Akin had worked with a bank, Globacom, and others. He speaks Yoruba, English, Bulgarian, and French fluently.
And you become the real first lady. VIP will be too small. As a matter of fact, it will be VVVIP.
Baba Tobi, hey! If you become the president, Igara me up, my shoulder will be higher than Sugar Pada. Igara talking. I'll just be dashing money up and down.
No. Which money are you dashing?
No, Baba Tobi, so you won't give me money?
That money is the money that my own that I give you. You can even employ a special assistant for money distribution. Thank you very much.
Yes, it's nice to see you. Now, straight up, let me say that we used to be neighbors. We lived in the same estate before, right? And of course, in the course of our professions, we have met in the course of our careers, not professions, because we're in the entertainment profession, right? Now, to the person out there, who is Akin Louis?
Well, Akin Louis, I normally say that what you see is what you get. I'm an embodiment of so many things.
Share it with us.
Okay. People don't know that I read drama. Actually, I have a master's degree, first class, in acting and directing.
Okay.
Yes, and I got trained at NTA Ibadan. It was NTV in those days. For about 10 years, just to be a producer, an actor, and a director. And then, because people just see you and they don't know. Others don't even know that I also worked in the corporate world. And I did that for about 22 years, combining both, and at directorate level, really. And I'm a well-traveled person. I speak languages. And, like I said, what you see is what you get.
So tell me about your background. Early years.
Yes. I remember that I grew up in the north, in Zaria.
So you speak Hausa?
Oh, I do. I speak several languages.
Wow.
But I speak Hausa. And growing up in the north was rugged, because in those days, it wasn't well developed. Zaria wasn't as developed
as it is
today, and the weather was dry, hard, harsh, and all of that. But we used to live in the GRA, the quarters they used to call it in those days. And big compound, had neighbors that you hardly see, so I had dogs, and with my sister, we were all doing that. But when the pogrom started, that thing that led to the Civil War?
Yes.
I was almost killed. Matter of fact, I was killed.
Say that again.
I was almost killed. Yeah. But in the mind of the fellow who did it, he killed me already.
Tell me that.
Yeah, because what they did was, as it is, I was a lot lighter, and then I have this mark. Okay. And then, so I passed easily for an Igbo boy. And that's what they didn't bother to find out. This mark, which I got from a broken bottle.
Yeah, I was going to say, how did that come?
I fell into the gutter years before. And so that had healed. My father said he shouldn't stitch it. So that my eyes, but when they saw it now, they thought I was Igbo. Yeah. They said, Yumiri. Yeah. And so they just tousled me up like a goat. Yes. And put the knife there. What saved my life was that he now started to chant this whatever. Yeah, and then my mother came running out of the house. Somebody had told her, and she just barged into us, and everybody was, yeah. Now, my mother, until she died, was very fair-skinned, really fair. And that was where I got my color from then. And then she had tribal marks. You see? That was another thing that saved us. So, because she didn't have, they would have killed her first.
Oh, okay. Where was she from?
Ibadan.
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 Okay.
Yeah, she's from the royal family in Ibadan. So she had this Ila from Ibadan, and that was saved us. So eventually, when everybody settled down, they knew my father. They just didn't know that I was his son. You know, and so when everybody settled down, it was like, okay, is him sorry. And then they went across the road, killed somebody else in lieu, and then they said, okay, that's it. You know, you should forgive us. So then they left.
So that's how you actually were killed.
Yeah, you know, I didn't die, but that's how I was killed. And then my father came back, and that's how he sent everybody down south.
He remained there.
He remained, yeah, working. He sent everybody down south.
Where was he working?
In the railways. He was an engineer, you know, and that's how we came back home, and the war started from all of those killings.
Now you returned to Ibadan.
To Ibadan, you know, had to do primary 6 again, and then got into secondary school and Lagelu Grammar School.
Okay.
Yeah. And, well, I'm proud of that school.
Yes.
That's the school that the former governor attended.
Which one of them?
Ajimobi.
Ajimobi?
Yeah, Isiaka Ajimobi.
Okay, so he
was my senior.
You're right.
And then you remember Prenkilemes?
Yes.
Who was he was my junior.
Oh, that's the one who ran against Ajimobi and even ran against
Makinde.
Makinde.
Yeah, that's right. So
that's Adelabu.
That's right, Adelabu. So that's where we all went, and later on I went to Ife. Studied drama under Shoyinka.
Okay, and then that's how you got into NTV.
The point is, I actually got into NTA before I went to Ife.
Oh, okay. Oh,
yeah. Because when I finished, immediately I finished secondary school, I joined a troop. A troop led by Professor Bode Sowande of UI there, Odu Themes. And then I started learning the rudiments of theater and all of that. And that's how I got into NTA as an actor.
Okay, so you were already working?
Yes, I was working before I went for,
Okay, that's my story.
You know.
That's my story too.
And then when I finished, I came back to NTA, and then I went abroad to do my master's. I came back to NTA. Then I left. I came to Lagos, I think 89 or something.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, that explains it. That was when you moved into our estate.
Yeah, those years. In the early 90s. That's you know, I used to be in Didiolu, across the road. Right. And then you know.
So now, your corporate world experience is actually not known to many people.
No, it's not.
Was that deliberate on your part?
Well, deliberate. I've always...
Did the entertainment part overshadow it?
No, even in entertainment, I'm not loud too. That's just how I am. I think that one's work should speak, you know, for who you are. I'm not of the mold of, you know, just jumping into publicity.
Well, before you joined Glow,
yes,
you worked in...
I had worked in the bank. When we were living together in Nigeria, I was in the bank, working with Reverend Agwiti. And then I worked with CMC.
CMC Connect.
Yes, I was there. And then before CMC, I was with Center Spread.
Center Spread.
Yes, you know. So, and then later, I joined Mike in Globacom.
Okay, in Globacom, yes. Now, what was the experience like combining the corporate engagement with your entertainment vocation?
Yes.
What was it like? How were you able to do that?
It wasn't a vocation. No. For me, it was a real career. Let me say this. I have worked very hard because I think being a director also helped me. Because all I needed to do was plan, get it to the boys, the managers, and everybody's executing. and then later we'll come and reevaluate and all of that. But my I had no weekends. There are times I had no nights. I would shoot overnight. Then, of course, when I get holidays, I'm back in the field, just doing all of that. That's how I used to combine these things.
But what was pushing you? What was it that made you want to do that?
When we started acting, drama as it were, there was no money in it. Now, this is my 49th year. There was no money in it. It was okay because we were single. But then we started getting married. And problems started. Wife, children, school, this and that. And I saw my mates, my colleagues, their homes were disintegrating. So, according to my people, Muyara Milogbo. So, I now said, listen, no. And I had the certificates. So I just said, let me go over to the other side. Get money from there to live and keep doing my stuff. And that's exactly what I did.
So it was like, it was a desire not to fail.
Absolutely. Absolutely. To provide a very good...
And lose your first love.
That's right.
Which is acting, drama.
Absolutely.
So you went into that other side.
Yes.
And made a good success of it.
Absolutely.
But now you're in retirement there.
Oh yes, I did a 360 again. And 2009, I left the corporate. And I'm back here.
So fully now you're into entertainment. All right, we're going to take a break now. When we're back, we're going to talk about some other issues that I know had happened to you in the past and how you were able to navigate the storm. Stay tuned. Welcome back. I'm still talking with Akin Louis. Now, let's go into that area you wanted to say, the home front. How were you able to sustain that home before the bubble burst? Because I know the bubble burst at some point. Yes.
I mean, Humpty Dumpty fell and you couldn't put it back together.
Oh, Lord, that's even worse.
Yeah. I mean, with all these monies I was getting from the other side, I was able to, I mean, my children were going to the best schools, you know, my wife was comfortable. Everybody, I had my car, they had their car. And, you know, we were living ever after. And then suddenly something burst. But it wasn't me.
Yeah, well, people say you fall in and out of love. So love, like, took a holiday or something?
I don't know about that. Maybe she did, but I never did. Because she, you know, we were together, we dated for like 7 years. And then got married for like, officially for like 21 years. And then she was...
There's this thing that the women folk sometimes say, that men don't have emotions.
No, they don't know what they're talking about. Men have emotions. We were born by women. Our mothers raised us, and they have emotions. They put them in us. We have just been trained by our daddies, by experiences and all that to be in control. You know, you hold down everything. It is said that a man cannot just break down in public and all that.
Do you subscribe to that?
No, I don't. If you want to cry, cry. You feel better.
Yes.
And then you move.
I subscribe to that. You feel like crying, please cry. When you cry, people will know something is wrong with you.
Absolutely.
And they can step in.
When you pretend that
they think other things will go wrong.
Exactly. Exactly. But when that happened, when there was that falling apart in the marriage and all that, how were you able to cope?
It was quite an experience because I wasn't prepared for it. I wasn't ready, in fact. And it's more like a striker in football and you are seeing the goal. Yeah. You're already seeing the goal you want to score, and then somebody just clears you from behind, and all sorts of injuries and all of that. It was hard, but I had to get up and go.
Yeah, because I know that there was a time you were totally under the radar. We didn't hear anything about you. We didn't see you. We were not seeing you in any movies. Nothing.
It was deliberate. I needed that time to get myself together. And then just keep moving. And because I'm not really a publicity person, so to speak, it was easier for me to do that. Yeah, I don't really like publicity. That's an aberration. Yeah, considering that I'm in this.
Yeah, in this line of work.
Mm-hmm. And but that helped me. It helped me a lot, and it didn't become. I managed it such that it didn't become a scandal, because people would have, the way it is, they would have gone to town with it, and I wasn't ready at that time. But it's okay. Everything has settled down.
Yes, everything is settled now.
Yeah. Calm seas, and we are moving on.
Yes. And one of your daughters
got married. Yeah, my first daughter got married in December. Yes.
Okay, so you're on the way to
becoming a grandfather. A long time coming. We forget that we are senior citizens,
Yeah, that's where we are. That's where we are now. And then talking about senior citizenship, in acting, in entertainment, is there enough being done to prepare the upcoming generation for the roles they have to play?
I don't think so. Even I don't know the curricula these days in schools. But when we were there, it was arts for art's sake. Nobody taught us about the business of arts or the emotions of arts and all of that. So we didn't have enough money. But these days, values are broken down. It's money, 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 money. Still, I don't think our young ones are prepared. What I do on my own is on every set, and I do go on set a lot, I mentor so many. Do not eat with your 10 fingers. This is a profession that, there are no gratuities. I've retired twice now. Yes. Public sector and private sector. They will give you something to take home. Yes. But here, you may not get somebody to give you something. But along the line, you could make so much money. Yeah. Try and save up something. Okay. Invest something so that, when you get to become a senior citizen, you can. But you know how the young are. They hear you, but they need to experience some down time, some down stuff before they believe.
I even think that there are some experiences you've got to have.
Yes.
Before you learn.
Absolutely.
If you don't have those experiences, you'll just be pretending. Now, the entertainment scene in Nigeria has evolved beyond what it was in your own early days.
Oh, yes.
How can we ensure that the artist benefits maximally from this boom in the entertainment world in Nigeria? Especially as it relates to acting.
Yes. I know it's a tough thing. Right now, it depends on individuals. That's what I was trying to explain. I have lived quite a checkered life. Yes. And my pedigree is such that you can see from the corporate to entertainment and all of that, go to really good schools and all of that, abroad, speak languages, interact with. So all of that come to play for me. So my 2 feet are firmly on the ground. But most of our young ones are, we deal with life. Yes. But it could be ephemeral too, because we just do it. Some may not have seen it, and they just do what they have to do. And like you said, you may need to experience certain things just so that you can see very clearly. Yeah. Yes. So the risk is high that the young will smash up before they can build up.
Yeah, but I want you to look into your corporate world experience and make a suggestion to the younger generation.
Well, like I said, you need to save up. Don't eat with all of your fingers.
In what areas? What areas would you recommend for investment purposes, for instance?
Okay. Well, what I have done over the years is to build. I have properties, which are solid on ground. I also have a film that I just made, cinematic. That's an asset. We'll premiere in May and all of that. It goes down the line. And then of course you can invest if you have the cash abroad, in Europe or in America, given that our naira is weak and always falling and all of that. So it's not about how much. It's just having that ahead, being able to do it. And so that's what I think they should do, rather than live in hotels, buy the latest cars, and then drink champagne that is 1 million naira and all of that.
live tomorrow's life today, and live today's life tomorrow. Terrible thing. Okay, so being a communications marketing specialist, your experience has come to play in the roles you have acted.
Yes.
How would you recommend the kind of training, even if it's a short-term type, for the young entrants into the profession? Because it's not everybody who would be favored to have gone through your kind of training.
Yeah. What would you recommend it to? Well, I always say this, that you have to get trained. Even a mechanic, they have apprentices, they get trained. So I say, if you can go to school, go to school. When you finish, come back. This thing will still be there. Or if you can go to school, then you can train under some masters, for some time. So that, because it's good to know your left and your right. And is it the way drama is structured, films and all of that, nobody has time to train anybody on the spot. You must know it. If you don't, they will chuck you, put somebody else there. So it's very, very important.